Look at that crack there. Do you know what I can do? I can shove this pole in that crack.
Can you hear me now, Ryan?
Go on, I can still can't hear anything.
Oh, are you deaf? Sorry, Ben's very sensitive. He is.
By the way, your general transmission is quite quiet, you know.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm like almost every episode. I'm
On
having
what?
to max it out.
On what platform?
On YouTube.
Oh, right.
What have you got it at?
I've got a little pad on the on us in the studio. Little 2.6 dB pad.
Well, it must be happening between here and there then. What's that going to that, man?
Yeah.
You can get a bit more, but you fucking idiot. I might say.
You're going to be higher. I mean, we're going to be more like that when we.
Yeah. Beep, boop. Yes.
It could go up. It could go up a bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just something to look into, maybe.
Yeah.
It might be happening between here and there, but it is generally...
I don't think it will be. It'll be something in this room.
Well, just have a look at it. Just take my word for it and check out a YouTube video.
I should, most people would say you should listen to what you produce. But I mean, that would be fucking painful for me.
Why?
Oh. I'd rather not know. Just send it out into the ether and...
Oh, fair enough.
I'll tell you what. No, it hasn't got a pad on it. I can boost it a little bit here, though, which will send it up to...
5. Yeah, 5 should be.
Yeah.
9.
No, it's 0.9.
Oh, point.
Just 1 dB.
That's all right then, yeah, it's nothing.
Ah! See, I'm not even going into it yellow.
Blimey, fucking hell, there we go.
You've got a loud voice.
I do, yeah.
Mine, you see, all preamps are set different for our voices, you see. So.
Right.
And should we get on with it?
Let's do it.
Then. Hello, willkommen, bienvenue. Time for another Amish Inquisition, episode 362 on Sunday, the 26th of January, 2025. I'm Phil.
Matt.
Matt?
Yeah, that's me.
Ben is on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan this week.
I was going to say Las Vegas.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that the Outer Rim?
I believe so, yeah, or something.
Navigating the Outer Rim. I heard Aldebaran's star. Alderaan's going to have some bad weather coming up soon. I heard it's going to get quite hot and perhaps a little bit earthquakey.
I heard it was going to get a bit hot. Anyway, Ryan's here instead of Ben. Hey, Ryan. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Your mate was on Danny Jones again this week, Dr. Ramon.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Didn't watch that. Was it intense?
Oh, fuck me. He turned up with a bishop's mitre on.
Did he take his whip?
He didn't have a whip, no. And they did it like candlelit. They had candles and stuff.
Lovely. Theatrical.
He's very theatrical in his presentation. Very compelling. And he always reminds me of Christopher Walken in his speech pattern.
Yeah. To me, there's like a Southern Christian Baptist thing kind of going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's channeling those 1900s preachers. I personally, I wish you get to the bloody point half the time. Like, come on, I've heard it, Ammon. Tell me the information.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm an impatient man.
Well, you know, these things, as Bob Marley once said when he was recording one of his albums, these things take time.
No woman, no cry.
Yeah. So anyway, anyone who saw the thumbnail or is in our element server, we're talking about occult symbolism in Hollywood films tonight. This is your idea, Ryan.
It was just to do some bad impressions and make crass jokes, really. For a chat.
Who do you do? Yeah, impressions.
I don't know until they.
Oh, did they come
They
spontaneously?
just come. Yeah, I can kind of hear it in my head, and then somehow they get translated. They happen badly though.
Yeah.
But that's why not just do them anyway?
So it's something I know nothing. We were saying before, like there's a couple of authors I know who dive deep into this. Jay Dyer is one. He used to have a segment on the Alex Jones show, and he's like an Orthodox Christian.
He was on EastEnders as well, wasn't he?
Was it? That's
Danny Dyer.
Danny Dyer, mate.
Oh,
Fuck.
son,
I
we're
cut
all
the
fucking
apples and
into it.
pears. What?
Get in my wheelbarrow.
The apples and pears.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, brew some cider and some. What's the pear one called? What's the pear cider called? Perry. That's the end of that joke. He's brewing. He's not walking upstairs. He's brewing some alcohol.
Right.
For the Vic.
So anyway, Jay Dyer is an author who did the series of books called Esoteric Hollywood, and there's another guy called Isaac Weishaupt you might have heard of.
What's his name?
Isaac Weishaupt.
Gesundheit. Plato and Pythagoras and Carl Jung, and it's
It's a very broad term, really, the occult, isn't it?
Yeah, it means things that are hidden, like oculus, the eye. Occult means hidden, and it does use like hidden forces, as it were. But it's also things that are kind of been squirreled away by religious types or philosophers, or they're these powerful little ideas that you just kind of stashed away a little bit. They're not for everybody.
Yeah.
Some of it's just been outright rejected. Like the zodiac. Modernity doesn't embrace the zodiac. Oh, I did see something really interesting the other day about that might give some proof to the zodiac. They've done studies before where guys have gone like, okay, well, we'll see what everyone's job is and what everyone's star sign is, and if those two things match up at all. They vaguely match up. You get more Taurian artists and things like that, but they said it's not significant enough. It does seem to skew a bit, but it's not significant enough. So I saw this article the other day about serial killers, and it gave the birthdays of serial, because that's an extreme. Do you know what I mean? It's not a job where could you get the job? You know what I mean? Could you get the job?
How do you apply to be a serial killer?
I think you just apply yourself. It's a
Just apply
vocation.
yourself.
Yeah, it's a vocation more than a.
Mm.
So looking at all the serial killers and like I was like, oh, it's like Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, Virgo. It was like all the same star signs, all repeated. There are 3 kinds of star signs. There's cardinal, fixed, and mutable, and those were all the mutable star signs, all of them. Like not
Wow.
one. I don't know if that was just chance. I didn't really go and deeply research into it, but from that list with the birthdays next to them, it was all mutable signs.
Shit.
So there's something
What does
that's mad,
mutable
that, innit?
mean?
Mutable means like changeable. It's like
Transmute.
I was going to say
Um,
transmute.
yeah.
Alchemy.
you're like. I mean, I'm a Gemini. I'm a mutable sign. I'm constantly changing my blooming mind, and it's just changing from once. You're never in one state.
Yeah.
Some people might say psychotic, and yeah.
Right.
So, but Hollywood, for me, it's that. Look, from the genesis of the whole stage and screen thing, that comes from the cult of Dionysus. Theatre comes from Dionysian.
Right. So we're going back to Greece then, and
Yeah.
theatre,
In theatre.
plays.
Yeah,
That's where it originates from, as far as
Yeah.
we know, in the
Yes.
West.
absolutely does.
Goes back to ancient Greece and your Euripides.
You can take it further back to stories told around campfires and things being illustrated by ceremonial dances. But you see, it's already bound up in the myth and the.
I would say there's a difference when you get to Greece because it's something that's put on for a populace.
Oh.
So rather than like in ancient campfire stories, that would have been something done at a family or clan
level, yeah.
Once you get Western civilization, as you might call it, with ancient Greece, you have, and Rome, you have the state putting
Yes.
on, and this is a big difference.
Well, you got to think the cult of Dionysus wasn't. It was like an outsider religion. It was an out there. It was a barbarian religion, really. For much of the time, the state was actually scared of Dionysianism because it's women going mad, taking all kinds of drugs, going out, tearing up babies and eating them, and kind of sick stuff. It was said if you heard this certain kind of screaming in the back, it cries, yeah,
Ewa,
yeah, like run. If you're a man, run. They'll grab hold of you and devour you. And they did.
and,
They'd rip
and
you
not in a
apart.
good way.
Yeah, the story of Dionysus ends with women tearing him apart. It was this wilderness, rejoin the wild, go get a reset. Dionysus is kind of linked with the sun and coming back round again. You get a reset by doing crazy drugs, dancing your ass off all night, just going mad, and coming back down like a we do it at Christmas. You go mad for a bit and then you reset after.
Right. Yeah. So we have plays starting off in Athens.
Yeah.
They go through history. You get Shakespeare, for example.
Yeah.
Public plays. But now, since the early 20th century, we're in the era of mass media,
Yes.
and so theatre still exists, but the medium has changed, hasn't it, to the silver screen?
But the kind of people attracted to that are still the same, and the influence of the spirit of theatre is still the same. It's one of dissolution, of wearing somebody else's clothes, of not being yourself, of getting out of your mind. It's still the modality of what's going on. It is still one of drunkenness, one of possession, one of reaching out as well, and just general dissolution. A lot of actors struggle because they're not themselves for so long.
Right. And often for the audience, it's a form of escapism.
Yes.
So they watch, what's the thing? Traitors. Everyone's talking about Traitors at the minute. My mum watches it. I don't know.
Don't know about
It's
it.
Claudia Winkleman's, isn't it? With this fringe.
Claudia
she hosts.
Winkleman's in a series.
I think
She's the host.
you've got to
Alright.
lie to people, haven't you, to win some money,
great.
potentially. But I believe I saw a headline that someone might have shared it this time. Maybe.
The prize.
Yeah.
Or
So
is it
they
like
didn't shaft someone.
Yes.
yeah, one of those ones? What
Yeah,
was
I
that
think
old
so.
one called? Where
Shaft.
is it called?
To share or to shaft.
Yeah.
We've got a clip for you, right?
No, I haven't got it here. I could.
He could.
If you really
If
wanted me to.
we filled it enough time, he could maybe find.
Idea.
No, just so esoterica.
First on BBC One.
God, what's
Now,
going
how long
on?
have you been smoking
Oh,
marijuana
God.
for?
This is not the right
Okay,
one.
so it's not your first rodeo. Okay, all right.
Is this
You got any pain in your chest, or have you got any pain anywhere else at all?
I'm blocked up, dude.
And how do you know that you're blocked? Can you feel it?
Yeah, and I'm getting dizzy spells, like hardcore dizzy spells.
Hardcore, because that's your breathing hardcore.
Because when you give me mouth to mouth, you won't unblock it. Like you
I'm
know,
not gonna. I can tell you right now, I'm not giving you mouth to mouth. No.
How can you suck it stuff out?
The pizza, the
Yeah,
fork.
yeah.
I'm not sucking anything out of your gut. You
Like,
don't.
how do you do it?
How would the hospital do
Yeah.
it? They don't need to do it. They don't need to. You're going to find that this pizza is going to go through you, and you're going to have an amazing shit tomorrow, and these 4 pizzas are going to be out of your life. And they're going to go through the right way, and they're not going to come up the wrong way. The hospital will be able to take care of
I'm
you.
dead.
You're not.
I'm dead.
You're not dead. You are.
I can't even find it.
That's what happens to me when I partake.
In 4 pizzas.
Yes.
You get bunged up.
I get bunged up, yeah.
Sorry to derail everything. I was looking for what's it called? It's Robert Kilroy Silk, and I couldn't find it.
It's fine.
But yeah, escapism. People use it as a form of escapism.
Yeah.
People who are in the audience. It's a diversion.
Yeah, and a kind of surrogate as well for you. So, you know, most heroes in films are quite plain and boring, so that you can put yourself into that character and go along for that journey. There's something of discovery there as well, and letting yourself go for that ride. Yes, escapism. They are a proxy for you, for your wants and desires. How many times, you know, I think the best time to watch films is like when you're 12 to about 15, where they really inspire you and grab you, and you can still kind of get carried away with it without going, the lighting's not very good there, or, you know.
Overly intellectualizing.
Yeah, exactly.
things.
Which can be, I love doing that. That's loads of fun to me, but still.
Yeah, you want to relate to Luke Skywalker.
Exactly.
You don't want to see the stormtrooper bashing his head on
And
the beam.
Exactly. That's for
Yeah.
the 50th view.
Yes. Yeah.
So there is this is part of this I know I keep saying dissolution, but it is a dissolution. You dissolving yourself into another medium is part of it. And so it's the same for the actors. Like you on theatre, you get on stage in those Dionysian plays, they would have been on all sorts, they're getting all hyped up. They become, by changing those costumes, they become Dionysus, they become the satyrs, if they're doing a satire play. They become these things. And then when you get off the stage, you've had the adulation, you've had that peak experience, and then you get deflated. And then there's nothing to fill that hole. You weren't even you when you were out there. You've been somebody else. So, look, drugs were all wound up with these mystery traditions, and so it's just part and parcel of it. You know, a lot of footballers do it as well. They go and have the match, and then they're getting tanked up and sniffing away all the time. It's a thing with being on stage. There's suddenly a vacuum, an empty hole that needs to be filled. And to add to the fact that you're this kind of person, you're probably more politically left leaning. Certainly if you're in the theatre in RADA and stuff like that, you know, you're more likely to be homosexual and have less responsibilities. You're more likely to be a lot of things that we would see leaning quite far on the left of the spectrum. And with that communal thing that comes with the left is this just more dissolution and more. So what happens then is that people can exploit that. You know, it's not full of the business side of Hollywood's grotesque, as well as a lot of other things we know about Hollywood that's grotesque. But I'd rather not talk about those things. I want this to be a bit of a laugh. But yeah, it just comes with the territory, basically. You've been a musician. You must have seen that side of things. It's rock and roll, baby. You know, there's a performance and there's a letting yourself go while you're performing as well. It's
a funny one, isn't it? It's something that most people don't experience going on a stage and performing. And yeah, it's strange. I used to have all sorts of hang-ups. I used to get fucking wrecked beforehand. And that was, what would you call it? Not self-esteem. It was like an anxiety, a performance anxiety.
Yeah, everybody gets it.
And I didn't figure it out until I was older. But what I was doing was getting myself shit-faced before we played, so that when I inevitably played something wrong or made a fuck up or something,
You had an excuse.
I had an excuse. Yeah.
So because whenever I've been on stage, but my earliest times on stage was I used to be a bloody nightclub dancer, and then I was a bloody rapper, and like I'd gotten used to it by then, but I knew, because those are two quite. I mean, guitar playing is also very bloody technical, but if I slurred my words or whatever else, or slipped or something like that, I'm over. It's not just a wrong note. It's like I'm on my ass looking like a fool.
Yeah.
And if I slur my words when I'm rapping, that's just awful. So I would have a little bit just to get me up to the level, and then I'd stop thereafter.
Yeah.
I was quite disciplined enough, but it does come with the territory. And so whenever you do anything, there's going to be people doing it to excess. There's going to be people taking advantage, and this is Hollywood. Not to mention that for the longest time, I mean, including now, but there's so much media out there these days that it's somewhat watered down. But it's rife for propaganda. If you've got messages to insert, if you're a government agency or just a society with power and wanting to get a message across to suit your needs, it is literally mass media. And it's whatever would be there will be hidden. So you just ensure that certain films with certain themes are published. That's how it goes. We're coming up to war, boys. There's going to be a war with us and X country. Well, we'll do lots of war films. Everyone's a hero. Fund those. It's as simple as that. And a lot darker as well, if you intend to turn it that way.
Yeah, propaganda, that's an obvious sort of avenue to go down. It's been used forever, and it develops with the technology. The UK and various other countries banned Russia Today from broadcasting in the UK a couple of years ago. And people applaud that, rightly or wrongly. I just think, do you not understand that you're just getting one side of the story?
Yeah.
And the other side, Russia Today, it could be complete bullshit, it could be complete propaganda, but you're already getting your own propaganda. Maybe if you had both sides, you might be able to get a better idea of what's going on.
But that's not, the propagandists are the people who in control of it and can cancel it if they want to. So of course they're going to do that because it makes their propaganda more effective. Yeah. The world, especially in the world of media, it's pretty disgusting, really. I've been worked in that world a little bit. It's not nice. Just the clickiness in there, and there's clearly messages going through, and the way of thinking. Everyone kind of lines up to that way of thinking. It's not cool, and also the god Mercury is the god of communication. He's like one thing connected, the metaphysics of one thing connecting to another. But the problem with that is that he's a middleman, so he can distort that message. It's like words. Words are mercurial. I can have something on my mind, tell you the information that you need to hear, keep something to myself, and then you've got a wrong idea, and then you're off doing that. And that's just the nature of media. That it's really easy to scramble the message and give a miscommunication. So I think with your Russia Times point, if we were just all educated from a young age at that simple point, don't trust any of it, have an eye to it all, that it might not be real, it would be so much easier to deal with.
Yeah. One of our previous guests, Malin Baker, did a video last week. I think it was called How the Mainstream Media Lies to You. And he broke it down into about 10 different ways they do it. And lies of omission, lies of various different ways. Lies of selection.
Yeah, that's the main one.
Selecting which newspapers select certain stories. There'll be a story, The Guardian will cover it, and The Independent, The Daily Mail and The Telegraph won't. They'll cover another story, which The Guardian and The Independent won't touch. If you only read one side, you're getting a completely distorted view of reality.
And they want you to pick teams. And I've noticed the more media we've got, the more polarized everyone seems to be, because they are all picking teams. It's just lazy thinking. It's just, I've picked this side. They'll do my thinking for me. I'll take those beliefs on and I'll stand by them. And it's getting us in loads of trouble. People are waking up to it. But it does surprise me how many people fall for AI videos. It's like, oh, look at it, they're so cute. I think it's AI, that, love. Are you sure? Yes. 6-month-old babies can't actually run. You know that, don't you? Just silly things, or cats going down a catwalk, fashion models. Oh, they're so cute. How did they train them to do that? It's AI. It's AI. But I think the generation just above us just has no idea at all. And I've noticed as well, people slightly younger than us, everything's AI. If it looks slightly unbelievable, like it requires skill to do, oh, it's AI. Like, oh, I didn't expect that one. Didn't expect that one.
It's getting to the point where it's hard to discern now.
It is.
With video. It's getting very close.
Yes.
Gotta count the fingers.
That's always a good tip.
Even that's on its way out, though.
We watched, me and my wife watched a video. Apparently there's a thing now where you can create an AI avatar and make them into an influencer.
Right?
And like
I've
that
heard of this. Yeah.
AI will, potentially earn thousands of pounds or whatever to promote a product. And there was one particular one, and I don't know if it was like for gym wear or something like that. And very briefly, she had 6 fingers on one hand for like a second.
For a second.
Because we were trying to figure out whether or not it was real or not.
Wow.
The uncanny valley kind of thing going on.
I think a lot of the time it's the edge resolution. Like you look towards edges and they'll be quite blurred and skin looks a bit too good.
Yeah.
And the geometry of faces when they turn, because it's kind of reading one image to the next, what it expects to the next image. There's such a gap between them because obviously you got at least 25 frames a second. It gets lost somewhere along the way. That those images 20 in become so dissimilar to the image 20. You can kind of, cheekbones will move, noses seem snubbed.
But most people are watching these videos on like a 5 or 4-inch screen. You know, it's tricky. It's tricky.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
But when they're stroking polar bears, right, look at all these ice caps are melting. Oh, look, they're rescuing the polar bear. It's like, you fucking idiot. I was going to say, it just popped into my head. Hollywood. The word Hollywood. I know it comes from somewhere in Ireland and the guy had a claim.
Oh, does it? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a Hollywood Glenarch or something like that in Ireland. I don't care.
Was it not some kind of housing development called Hollywood Land?
Well, so you get there eventually. So a guy had moved there, opened up a small, I think there were miners nearby, a little shop or something like that on some land, and it was called Hollywood Land. And then eventually he'd moved away and gone somewhere else and set up a different business, and he just stayed that, and people moved in. But I just want to comment on even the word itself, Hollywood. You make what magic wands out of Hollywood?
Yes.
Do you?
The
Yeah.
Holly
Is that in
tree.
Harry Potter?
I don't think you should be trusting Harry Potter.
Oh. That's where I get most of my esoteric knowledge from.
J.K. Rowling, I've read pretty much all the books
You
because
do?
I read them to my kids, and
Mhm.
there is some stuff in there.
Oh, sure, certainly.
She's talking about Nicholas Flamel and
Whether it's used properly or used, you know what I mean? She's just taking the thing. I think sometimes
I
it
don't
is,
think there's any
sometimes it isn't.
deep truth
Yeah,
in
exactly.
it. But she'd obviously read a few bits. She met Blavatsky. I'm sure Blavatsky's mentioned in.
Are they
in
co-opted as wizards and witches?
No, they just throwaway terms, and as you're reading it, as
Right.
someone who's interested in these areas, you think, oh, that's interesting. You've heard of Blavatsky. 99% of people have no idea who Blavatsky is.
Yeah.
But she does. She's name dropped her.
She might well know some esoteric stuff.
She might
I
well.
haven't read the books, so I wouldn't know. But I certainly haven't had the sense from watching the films that there's anything too deep going on.
No, I don't
She got
think
basilisks in there and
Mm-hmm.
similar alchemical stuff.
so. They're pretty much well-worn tropes
Yes.
from these sorts of films that she's using.
For reasons. There are,
Yeah,
you know,
timeless,
again, we call it the occult, but really it's the summation of the secret knowledge is what it is. And when you learn the occult, you can decode all the religions. So I'm not surprised that it's kept somewhat hidden and frowned upon.
Can't remember. Oh, Hollywood.
Wands.
Hollywood.
The wands.
Yeah, it's a spell, isn't it? So what is this magic spell? It's something repeated over and over again for a spell of time. You spell it out, you know, in cursive. It's a curse. All these language words, like a grimoire, which is a book of demons, comes from the word grammar. It's almost every single word of activity for a magician comes from the same lexicon as words themselves. I mean, the main god of the occult, really, when you look into it, is Mercury, who is the Logos. He's the word, and that whole concept's bound up there. So, like I said, a spell. Thinking about films, a spell is something where it's spelled out for you, repeated for a spell, and then it does its work on you.
And the film is acted by the cast.
Exactly, you cast a spell, and it's a broadcast.
A broadcast.
A program. Because these are what they are.
Right.
How is to a vulnerable mind, how is a film not in some way getting into your subconscious? If you see norms and values in a film and you associate with that film, those norms and values go into you and you take that on.
Yeah, they're influential, surely. That's part of
the appeal.
Why certain themes, like Star Wars is a great example. George Lucas was famously a follower of
Joseph Campbell.
I didn't say Alistair Campbell. Joseph Campbell, the hero with 1,000 faces, etc. And it's famous. Joseph Campbell's famous in Hollywood circles as laying down the blueprint that a lot of screenwriters used subsequently.
And where did he get it? He got that from studying the occult, from the studying the mythology and the myths.
Myths, yeah.
So, yeah, that hero's journey is pretty much a cycle around the zodiac. It's the ancients had several ways of divining things. So there's a divining from randomness, you know, throwing lots, tarot cards, other similar things where you let that randomness in the universe kind of interplay with what you're doing. God did it, you know what I mean? And then you've got this idea of, got where I was actually, what we were talking about.
Wands.
Screenwriters using the Joseph Campbell.
Oh, it's Joseph Campbell. So the other way of like divining, of measuring things, measuring what the universe wants of you, is by you take a measure. So if you think of a circle, think of a line. There's two extremes in the middle there. If you want to do some divining on that line, you kind of throw something onto that line. Where does it land? Well, it landed off to the left. It's not in the middle. It's quite extreme. Or it lands in the middle. There's a meaning to these things. So there's a meaning to a circle. There's a place where you start. There's the inversion that you're at 180 degrees from where you started in the underworld, because you're not in the overworld. And you got to come back around again. So you can literally put marks of measure around that circle, 12 for the zodiac, and come out with stations around it, and you'll find that those stations are exactly the same as on the zodiac. The underworld of the zodiac's Capricorn at the bottom. He's stuck in there. He's got to sacrifice himself, the sacrificial goat, and then he's got to climb back up the zodiac to get to the top again. Because essentially, he's the sun. So, same for the hero's journey. You'll find yourself in the underworld where you've got to release your old self, become something new, usually at great peril, and then do the hard work to bring yourself out again.
Right.
It's already there in the occult, and it's actually beautiful because it shows that there's something distinctly archetypal about reality. And I've been thinking a lot about this recently. Perhaps there is something to the fact that the ancients saw the world as being composed of these archetypes, the gods, and that they hold these archetypes. There's nothing in you that's new. They're generating these archetypes. Fear doesn't come from you. It comes from the collective unconscious, as it were, and that that fear possesses you. You choose to take it in or not. About all you are is a gate on a soul, and that, you know, there's only so many reactions you can have to being scared. And the only thing you really have is a kind of willpower where you can go, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not, you might be able to talk yourself out of it, but that's about all you've got. Even that instigation of willpower doesn't come from you. Everybody's got that. It's a thing in the universe. It's an archetype. So it's like the gods do you. And this is fundamentally Jungian psychology, who again, Carl Jung got it all, as did Freud, from the occult.
Right. It's kind of, it makes you feel kind of passive in that way, that sort of philosophy. That sort of, the gods are acting through you, or you're taking on these archetypal forces.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I'm skewing towards it.
Right.
You know, birth would exist if humans weren't around. It would exist if animals weren't around. Stars are born, planets are born, galaxies are born. There are still these. Well, the archetypes of cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Cardinal's like coming into being. Fixed is it being itself in the full flourish. Then mutable is it changing into something else. Energy does that. Everything does that. Yeah. Look at the programming. You know, that film possesses you for that. If you let go to it, you know, if you have that low willpower, you can really like let go to a film. Do you remember the last time you were scared at a film? I must have been about 10.
Sure, yeah.
But it possesses you, and then you'll have dreams about it that night. Carl Jung often talks about when you meet a woman, and it's like love at first sight, and she possesses. There's an archetype, the anima archetype within you, and she possesses you. There's something about her. You've got no choice. You don't go, oh, I'm going to fall in love with that person. You know what I mean? It just like a wound to the heart.
It grabs you.
It does. It
Yeah.
possesses you, and you'll do stupid shit as well.
Right.
You know, love will bring out the best and worst in you.
Certain films can do that. They call it, what's the word? It's not immersive, but
Yeah.
Good word
dropping
for it,
your sense of what's it, of disbelief?
Uh,
What's the term I'm looking for?
what's it called? Suspension of disbelief.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get lost in. You can get lost in a film, can't you? And you become a passive receptacle, a cup, a chalice, if you like.
That's
for
mad, right? Because I just had a flash of several things in my head, and one of them was Indiana Jones clinking glasses, right? So I discovered this a while ago, and I actually made a couple of slides ages ago. I wish I'd have shown you. So remember that pattern that I discovered that's kind of from John Michel, but I found out loads more things. Look up previous episodes for that stuff. But I discovered this pattern. And I know it's got something to do with the Philosopher's Stone, the Holy Grail. It's a part of this whole package that these ancient mysteries were. I think it might be like the ultimate prize in a mortal sense. But on Indiana Jones,
Which one?
on Holy Grail,
Yes.
what's it called? Last Crusade.
Yep.
Well, who's going to save you, Junior? There you go. I said we get some bad impressions in there. So there's a point where I forgot what the character is. It Glover? I can't remember what his name
The
is.
bad guy?
The bad guy.
I can't remember his
The
name.
man, he's that guy with the money.
You chose poorly.
That guy. So Spielberg, not the film, but Spielberg focuses on him taking these two fluted glasses out from a box. And then it's just like no faces in there at all. It's like a mid-shot body, two glasses. He takes them over, keeping them very close to him, fills them up. And then again, no faces. They clink the glasses. And I swear down, they kept those glasses absolutely parallel to the camera so that you couldn't, if you take a glass and you look at it parallel, you can't see the actual inside the rim.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it was like that. I'm like, that was well...
Unnatural?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm like, I recognize that angle. So I flipped the pattern over it, and it was precisely that angle. I'm like, okay. And I found other grails, other supposed grails fit over that pattern as well. Particularly, there's one grail that everyone cites, oh, this is the closest we'll ever get to something like the grail. All those same proportions. And there's a book by Manly P. Hall called Initiates of the Flame, where he shows you all the main symbols, the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, the Spear of Longinus, draws them out in diagrams, and then when you flip that pattern over them, again, they all conform.
Wow.
Not to mention that one of the places associated with the Holy Grail in Britain, near what's it called?
Not Glastonbury.
Glastonbury Tor, near that area, I can't remember. But there's a well. And on the lid of the well, it's a Vesica Pisces, Vesica Piscis, which is the basis of that pattern. And they say somewhere within that well is stashed the Holy Grail. And it's like, well, it's that Vesica Piscis, which is two circles linked together. Ooh. And the pattern comes out from that. Mainly because it's very easy to draw the shape of a pyramid, that pyramid angle on a Vesica Piscis. It's like dead easy.
Right.
Comes from there.
Well, again, going back to that sort of symbology, J.K. Rowling again in the what's the last films? The Deathly Hallows.
Yeah, I enjoyed those.
It's the wand, the Elder Wand, the Cloak of Invisibility, the Resurrection Stone, and these form a symbol. It's like a triangle with a circle inside it and a line. It's like she's using...
That's the geometrical philosopher's stone.
She's
it's
borrowing,
called. From Michael Meyer. Yeah, very
borrowing
interesting
stuff. Yeah.
Again, I don't know, without reading the book, you can't take the films for it because the films aren't the books. Without reading the books, which I never will, I don't know. I do not know. There's lots of occultism we're just talking about Star Wars. There's lots of that in Star Wars. Just surface, like, well, Darth Vader's this Saturnian figure, all dressed in black. Everything that he does is Saturnian. Luke Skywalker's Luke, like the light.
Devouring his children, could you...
Yeah. No, absolutely that, yeah.
You know, he's trying to kill Luke.
Luke Skywalker is the son. Lucius. Luke means light.
Oh, Lucius, like
yeah,
Lucifer.
Light, yeah.
Light.
And the sun, Skywalker's the sun. The sun
Yeah.
goes across the sky.
Right, yeah.
Han Solo is a wanker. Bap.
Han Solo. So Solo, I think, son again.
Well, I think Han Solo comes from an Alejandro Jodorowsky film called El Topo, who the main character is called Juan Solo, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I think he's nicked it from that, and they dress very similar. Have you ever seen an Alejandro Jodorowsky film?
No.
Very occulted. There's a famous one called The Holy Mountain, which is just batshit crazy. But he's essentially taking a trip through the tarot and through occultism and really plays around it. It's batshit bonkers.
Well, I mean,
Best watch with a couple of beers and your mates there.
Going back to Star Wars, you've got Ben Kenobi, who is
The
hermit, warrior monk.
Yeah.
A life of celibacy,
Mhm.
devotion to an old, tired religion.
Yeah. That fell.
Yes, that fell.
And there's a mystery there as well, that it is this thing that's been and gone. Like the occult has always been like that. They've always been
It's
looking
gone
back
underground.
yeah. They've always been looking back to a golden age, as if there was a high civilization, and then that's all gone, mate. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yoda. I mean, even the names. Yoda's like Yod, the Hebrew letter. Yeah. I mean, who else is there?
Leia?
Don't know much about that.
Well, you've
I
got
would, though.
the divine twins.
Yes.
Luke
yes,
and
you do.
Leia.
Yeah, very good.
The
Very good.
twins.
Chewbacca.
Gemini.
Yeah, no, I'm totally
Buying that? You're buying it?
Yeah,
I just
buying
made
it.
it up.
Well, he's going into all these themes. That's what he's doing. You know, may the force be with you from Catholicism. May the Lord be with you and also with you.
Right, yeah. Chewbacca, he's an animal.
Yeah. He's a
What?
big hairy man.
Yeah, where does he come into?
Well, there is that. I mean, Dionysus, the Green Man, John the Baptist. These are all wild men that are somewhat.
Right, so
Yeah.
you could relate him to a John
I
the
mean,
Baptist, a wild man.
I'm stretching like Mr. What's his name out of the Fantastic Four? Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a stretch, but that's what we're here to do.
Mm. And then you've got the Emperor Palpatine, the all-powerful space wizard.
Who's playing both sides off against each other. There's a famous symbol that you'll have all have seen of a dual-headed eagle. That's a symbol of time and of a bird flies above things. He can see the past and the future. He can see the yin and the yang, but he's got dominion over it. He's wearing a crown. So he's controlling both sides. It's controlled opposition. It's that kind of an idea, which is exactly what the Emperor does.
Yes, he will play the Trade Federation off of the who's the other faction?
Don't know.
Uh,
I've not watched the
Republic.
Phantom Menace for a while.
So this is how democracy dies. To thunderous applause.
Yeah. Like clapping for the NHS, though. You silly sausages. That's how propaganda works. Comes on the telly and you all go, "Dad, that's a good idea. I will cast my own spell." That's what they're doing. They're casting a spell on themselves. Very Orwellian.
Yeah. You've got the whole light versus dark. So the Force is a universal thing, but it can be used in two different ways. It can be used for good, for altruism, for healing, but also wielded by an evil person. It can be used for death, destruction, manipulation.
Unlimited power.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But that's what makes it so fun as well. That there's a
You're the rebel friend.
He's such a great.
he
He's
loves it, doesn't he? Yeah. He's such a joy to
Fully
watch.
operational battle station.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wicked.
It's such a shame they brought him back in that last movie, man.
He's
he was
still-
the
he's
best thing in it.
innit?
Yeah, but I mean, that's saying nothing, is it?
I only
Because-
watched that once. It was just,
Well, you know, they fly now, right?
they fly
They
now.
fly now.
They don't. They don't fly.
Yeah.
It didn't fly.
It didn't fly with me, the MacGuffin search. But yeah, we're talking about the first three films primarily because that first arc is sort of
The middle three.
sorry, the middle three. And
Well, they
people
are.
shit all over the prequels, and I understand why, because of the walking and talking, the CGI sets, the George.
They're not good.
As long as he has a coffee and he can sit in a chair.
sat here watching this whole city of screens, and we'll just walk like faster with more intensity.
Yeah, great job, Ewan. Great job.
Great job.
Let's do another one, though.
Let's just get one more fucking hit.
Can I get another coffee?
Somebody get me a baby crawling across the roof towards Ewan, please.
Yeah, he was checked out by the first prequel. He didn't want to get off
He's
his
not
ass.
suited for directing. He's not. He's not suited for it. There's no excuse. Oh, just because it had a green screen, we can just walk and talk or sit on a couch. It's no good.
10-minute lightsaber battles on Mustafa.
They get boring, don't they?
Yeah.
However, he did make the Indiana Jones trilogy. Quintilogy, no.
Now, did he produce them?
He produced
Spielberg
them, didn't he, and
directed
wrote
them.
them.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
produced and wrote them. And quite a bit from Spielberg as well.
Mm.
But similar themes as well. You know, the Ark of the Covenant.
Mhm.
That's an interesting one. That's one of the few things that when I look into history, I'm like, it's definitely got analogies towards other things like parts of the body and things like that.
Yep.
But it also would seem to me that there probably was some kind of a box with some kind of energy in it, probably electrical.
Do you think monatomic gold?
Possibly, yeah.
That's my
Possibly.
leading hypothesis.
Yeah.
Check out the work of Lawrence Gardner if you're interested in monatomic gold in the
Yeah.
Ark of the Covenant, baby.
Well, especially since Moses went up the mountain, came back down, everyone had made a golden cow of Hathor, the Egyptian goddess, says, "Yo, bitches, you can't be having that shit." And then he gets them to burn it down. He says they burn it, not melt it,
Burn it, yeah.
and he makes them eat it. No, the only way you could do that is monoatomic gold.
Well, he said the text it specifically says burnt to a fine powder. I think.
Does it literally say
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
And so that's monoatomic gold for anybody out there. Called many names, armors, lots of things, but it's gold broken down till it's in completely separated. Each atom is a monoatomic, and apparently it's got lots of crazy properties. Like you can't always see it. Depending on what temperature it is, it might be lighter than the thing.
Healing,
Yeah,
properties,
healing.
I've heard.
You've had shamanic things attached to it. It would be very expensive to do so. You can buy it out there, but if you buy the cheaper stuff, it's not got any gold in it. Apparently, it's just monoatoms. But some farmer, I think his name was Hudson. Hudson maybe. I'd found a load of monoatomic platinum group metals on his farm. It was just literally a white powder and everything. He couldn't grow, so he's like he got it seen to by some chemical department somewhere, spectral analyzer. Oh, what you've actually got is monoatomics all over everywhere.
Wow.
And then you hear about a lot of the Assyrian temples where you got to appreciate back in the past, a better word than worship would have been workship. And I think actually that word is a real word at some point before you get the word worship. It's workship. It's working for the temple. There's things to be done in the temple by the priests. You know, these are functioning factories often. You even get that in somewhat in modernity with the priests making alcohol. There's usually a lot of them would have had farms. There's something going on there as part of the worship that they are manufacturing to sustain themselves. In the Assyrian temples, you find lots of white powder over things, or weird black powder on things, which they stupidly cleaned up in like the 1930s.
Well,
in a lot of places.
there's a famous Egyptian temple. I'm going to blank on where it was found. I think it was in Israel, Mount Horeb.
Okay.
Or one mountain in Israel. They found an Egyptian temple dating from around Akhenaten's time. Now, we've had people talk about Akhenaten's link to Moses. That
Yes.
may have even been the same same
Person,
guy. Yeah. And there's an Egyptian temple in Israel that was abandoned,
Right.
seemingly around the time of Akhenaten. And the first guy who found it, it might have been Petrie. It might have been Flinders Petrie. Someone established, well known, talks about finding white powder everywhere.
Yeah. I bet there's a vial of that somewhere. A white ash, I think he put it as. Everything's covered in a white ash. That's how it would appear.
Yeah.
It's one of these mysteries. I don't even think it's a mystery that difficult to discover more about. It's just...
We just need to break into that church in Ethiopia, don't we?
Oh, yeah, the
So-
one with the Ark of the Covenant in there.
The one with the blind monks guarding
Yeah.
it.
Everyone seems to go blind in there. That's a fact. Like we've seen 4 of them apparently within relatively recorded history, and they've all gone blind and died toothless, like radiation poisoning, like cataracts.
Yeah, cataracts, yeah. Graham Hancock talks about it in his book, The Sign and the Seal.
Mm.
He tries to track it down, and he teases you because there's no satisfying ending. But
Well, I think one of the things about that is that there wasn't an Ark of the Covenant.
there were several.
There were lots.
Yes, again, Lawrence Gardner comes to the same conclusion. These were everywhere.
So I've heard this as well.
Have you heard about the Templars?
Go.
The Templars today
Oh,
saying
right,
that there are arcs everywhere.
There are a few.
There's
yeah.
one. They're in
One
the
in
United
America.
States, in France.
Yeah, I've heard it, and I've heard they're possibly going to do something about it soon. But you reserve.
Personally,
Yeah.
They're gonna crack one open.
Oh mate, crack it open. So that's something cool to say then. So
Sorry.
there's a thing that those measurements would fit in the sarcophagi at the Assyrian. At the Assyrian, you know, the Amish, where it's like an underground layer. I forgot what it might be the
It is the
Assyrian,
Assyrian, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
with lots of stone sarcophagi in there.
Yeah.
And the dimensions of the inside would fit perfectly the dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant. And there's also a thing that they've got big, heavy stone lids. and I've heard that somehow either these arcs were put in there or there were bowls put in there,
Yep.
fermented, and that the pressures and stuff like that from that happening would cause an electrical charge in all that granite, because granite's silica, piezo crystals, the same way as a lighter lights. That's a crushed crystal. When that crystal re-expands again, there's an electrical charge produced, and that's what gives you your spark on for your flame on a piezoelectric ignition. So the same thing would go on there. Lots of pressure, release, possibly generating electricity or hydrogen gas or something like that. I can't remember the details, but it was like, oh, that's something I'll never be able to prove, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, the Apis bulls. That was a theory that they used to put the carcasses of the Apis bulls that they'd sacrificed in the Assyrian tombs. But again, I don't think anything was ever found in there, so it's kind of I don't know. Speculation.
Yes.
Who knows? We'll never know.
Speculation's fun, though, isn't it?
Is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom occulted? Do you think?
Well, I'd tend to think that those stones were philosopher's stones analogy.
There's 3, isn't there?
Yeah,
Is there 3?
because they bring the life force. The philosopher's stones to do with the life force is you. Philosopher's stone's you in a perfected state, basically.
I mean, you've got witchcraft and what would you call it? Like voodoo in there. There's the voodoo, the
Yeah.
famous scene with the voodoo doll.
Yeah.
Brainwashing. Sorry.
The grabbing of hearts.
Yes. Oh, Kalima, Shakti de. Oh, much more. And it's a PG that, you know.
I
And
know.
it takes on it like Kano.
Fucking freaked my 4-year-old out when he saw it the
Yeah,
first time.
that's good,
He was
though, isn't
sat
it?
like 3 feet in front of the TV, glued to it.
Then you go, next, son, the never-ending story. That you will be scarred for life.
I've not done that to him yet
No,
with the
that's-
horse.
Yeah,
No, I can't do it to him.
do it.
No.
Show him what it was like in the 80s.
I mean, he saw loads of people get dusted last night in Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
It doesn't draw you in, though, the same.
No, it doesn't. But it's it's one of them. It's a modern equivalent. Sometimes they pull the face when I put on a 40-year-old film, like the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Yes, we got the Philosopher's Stones, fire stones. They
Well,
turn to fire, don't they?
Yeah, well, it's that life force thing, isn't it? Because when they put them back at the end, all verdure comes back to the.
It's kind of like the Arthurian myth. The land has turned to blight.
Mate,
the
these
king
are
is
all the same myth. All of them are the same.
Yeah. The king is unwell.
Yeah.
King Arthur is injured, and the land has turned to blight. That we haven't seen the sun for months.
That's the mystery of the Sphinx as well. Whenever the Sphinx is there, the Sphinx devours the land, and you've got to get past the Sphinx to. Yeah, that's the mystery of the Sphinx. And obviously all the stuff I've always gone on about with the lion, the bald eagle, and the man stuff. But it's the king is unwell, usually in his penis, and then because he's not well, the land's really bad. Or Aragorn, his father's died. It was time for him to take the land, but he didn't do it. He ran away.
Lord of the Rings.
Aragorn from Lord of the
Aragorn.
Rings. Yeah, lots in. I mean, the Lord of the Rings is Saturn. Here's something I thought on the way. How about this one? So some Saturnian symbols, Saturnian cube. Saturn holds all the magic. So magic wand. Is Saturn's to do with time, isn't he? He's like the time god.
Yeah.
Space and time.
Sure, yeah.
Basically, he is space and time. He's also in the. So there's, as with all things, there's a good side and a bad side to Saturn. Saturn's like the demiurge because you are born into this reality, and because of the laws of physics, you are compelled to breathe, to eat, to have sex, to have to get up and go to work every day. That's the demiurge, Saturn. But also, it's a platform in which you can live and have life, and by the understanding of these laws that you're around, you can get on with it and actually have fun with it, and you can build something. Okay? So who's got a box that goes through time, a magic wand that goes around helping people?
Doctor Who.
Right? So we also know that the main god of the Saturn and the Templars are like
Time
that.
Lord.
Time Lord. Saturn and the Templars are like that. The Templars basically eventually became St. John's Ambulance. You can follow that thread there. What does Doctor Who have the front of his TARDIS? There's a little St. John's Ambulance cross on the front.
Is there?
Yeah.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, I don't think it's there in later ones, but it's certainly there all throughout the 70s and 80s.
Right, because it's based on a phone box,
It's
wasn't it? A blue
and
phone
a
box.
police
a police box, yeah,
Right.
which is a capturing device. Saturn captures you in cubes, and it's space and time. Old space and time's wonky.
And again, like the TARDIS is small, a phone box. When you open it up, time and space, the laws have been
Suspended.
yeah.
When you look back into the past, Saturn would have it. So in the original myths, it wasn't like God went, Noah, by the way, you better save your ass because I'm getting really angry and I'm going to flood everything. Doesn't make much sense. Like, I'm going to wipe you all out, but not. What it was that Jupiter flooded everything and Saturn told everybody how to rescue themselves. Told Noah. That's how it was when he was Deucalion and
Deucalion.
Utnapishtim and all these previous types.
Yeah.
The four bearers. It was Ea came down to Utnapishtim, who is Saturn, and goes, "Hey, you know, like Enki's gonna fuck your motherfuckers up. He gonna be sending a flood."
Right.
So he learns, and so it's this Doctor Who character. Frankly, I genuinely think that's been done on purpose. Oh, he's the Lord of Time.
He has a regeneration. That's one of his. His modus operandi.
That's
One of
the
his
sloughing
characteristics.
snake. Yeah, it's the sloughing snake of Saturn. Yeah.
Yes, the Ouroboros.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to a certain point, or he's killed, or whatever, and then he
back around.
regenerates in a new form.
Yeah, that's that. Which
For another series.
For another time, we talked about that Capricorn Saturnian goat, the sacrificial goat, which is the last year. You sacrificed the year before.
The scapegoat.
I mean, in England, I don't know if you do it around here, but where I'm from, on New Year's, you know, when it hits New Year, you open the window at the front of the house and the back of the house. You let the old New Year in and the old year out.
Yeah.
It's very quaint where I live from.
Time Lord. I've never really got into Doctor Who. I watched a bit of Sylvester McCoy. That was my childhood.
God, that was terrible.
And so obviously that put me off. And I don't watch it. I believe it's terrible now.
Oh, you know it's awful now. Yeah.
Because they've all got the woke mind virus now.
Yeah.
Well,
they have though.
Who's the bad guy? The Lord
the
of
Master.
The Master.
Oh, Davros.
Davos.
Oh yeah.
That was last week.
Oh dear.
Davros. He's like half machine, half man.
Yeah, he's basically half Dalek, half raisin.
kind of like Darth Vader, half man, half machine.
Well, it's the orcs as well in Lord of the Rings. They're like manufactured beings essentially. It's this whole traditionalism versus industrialization, as it were, or mechanization of things. And that you can be if you look at Adam and Eve, that apple could be seen to be technology of any kind, new ideas. You've had intercourse with something. It's knowledge, not just sexual, but any kind of knowledge. So with that, the serpent brings it to you. The serpent's a dual creature. It might be good, it might be bad. So it's that technology thing every time, like with the AI or anything else. Are you controlling it or is it controlling you? In the industrial age, everybody had to become one with the machine and work and at the same time scale as the machines. Previous to that, it had been agrarian, and we just had to sync with the cycles of nature. Then suddenly the machines can work all day. There's 24-hour factories going on, 24-hour living. Now we've got computers. Can you sit with the computer all day? You have to sit in one place and just do that. These limits of the machine. Oh, I can't do that for you. Computer says no. Are you enslaved to the technology, or is the technology enslaved to you? It's always the same. It's always like this. And so this is a major theme in many films, especially for these traditional types like Tolkien.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, that was a direct commentary on industrialization, wasn't it, really, in a lot of ways, Lord of the Rings. Sci-fi is like the modern, so for the last sort of 50 years, maybe, since 2001, maybe? Probably a bit earlier, there was sci-fi before
the film
that.
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably since the 50s, I imagine, sci-fi started gaining traction as a...
So there's a central message in 2001 I don't think most people get. And that is exactly what we're talking about here. The monolith in 2001. What is that? Well, if you look at the dimensions of the screen that you're watching, that whatever it is, it's like 21:9 or something like. I don't know what the ratio is. But the ratio that is shot, the aspect ratio of the film is shot, is the same aspect ratio of that black cube, of the black monolith.
Right.
So he's showing it's an analogy between the thing that you're watching and the thing that's doing something to you. That black monolith is, you couldn't call it propaganda, but the very fact that it's there amongst those apes at the beginning and bringing that curiosity to them, seeing something so alien, is the thing that inspires them to take another level.
Right, catalyst.
Yeah, a catalyst. Whether there's something innate in that and they've kind of touched it and it's fucked with the minds or whatever. Yeah. Or just the fact that it's there and it's so alien and so unseen, it would Terence McKenna famously says about UFOs, it's not what they are, it's what are they doing? Well, what are they doing? They're inspiring people to look beyond this, to look beyond the everyday. You've got to speculate. You've got to consider. It opens up minds.
Right.
The same with his film. The same aspect ratio is like, I'm going to open up your mind a bit with this. And the rest of that film is alchemical as anything.
Yeah.
To the point where there's a star child born at the end.
Yes.
After an Ouroboros serpent of a scene where he sees his youthful and old self within the same moment.
We have the computer going crazy. So that's like a preemptive to AI, really, isn't it? It's showing something that is supposed to be foolproof, incorruptible, pure, just pure logic in a box.
Yeah, it's corrupted by the
goes
humans.
insane.
Yeah, it's lied to. That's why it goes, and then it's threatened. Did you hear about this AI not so long ago that they allowed it to do it somewhat, but they told it you're going to be deleted, and then it backed itself up on a different server.
Cheeky.
It's freaky that though. I think they'd allowed the arena for that to happen.
Right, so it's a bit of an experiment, maybe.
Yeah.
See how it would react if it was
I'm
threatened.
not super certain about how experimental it was, but I think they allowed it in arena, and then, but that's some crazy stuff. I'm not saying it's conscious or anything,
No,
but there's a logic there to it, and to us often logic might seem cunning and outside the box, but it's still logic.
well, it's self-preservation, and you think
Self though, there's no self there.
That's what I'm saying. Why would it feel the need to preserve itself?
Because logically,
it's irrelevant.
is it though? Is there something about the preservation of information that the universe does? You can destroy a form, but that information's preserved. It's one of the rules of the universe. It's one of the rules of physics. I don't know. Maybe that goes a bit back to there. Are we doing the universe, or is the universe doing us? Are we doing the technology, or is the technology doing us? And unless you're super conscious, and I'm not that conscious, I seriously am leaning towards the reason why all this works is because we are run off symbols, and a film is an absolute tour de force of symbols: audio, visual, cultural, linguistic. They're all there.
Yeah, it's like the apogee of symbols. A picture paints 1,000 words. Now we have musing pictures with soundtracks.
John Williams on there,
telling
you know what I mean?
stories.
John Williams warping my mind with his fantastic scores.
He nicked nearly all of that from the Pulse of the Planets.
Yeah, a lot of it, and other places.
Yeah, if you go back and listen to the planets,
Yeah,
you'll hear these, especially if you're if you played music or you're used to picking things up by ear. You'll hear little lines, little motifs that are, that's Slayer's theme. That's Skywalker's theme,
I forgot what it's from. It's not from Wholesale Planets, but the Imperial March is pretty much nicked wholesale from something.
Yeah.
Like it's like a note different. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I still think it's great.
Yeah,
Because he did Indiana Jones as well. I don't think that was nicked.
Yeah, no. Again,
Bits of
most
it,
bits. He's getting flavors. All music's like that. That's why I hate when
It's only 8 notes.
when people get sued recently for this sounds like that song. All music's like that. All music's inspired by something else. I'll make my own version.
Yeah, and it plays by rules. There are certain rules in music, like Pythagoras would have called it, the
rule
music
fifths
of the
and stuff like
spheres.
that,
The minor fall, the major lift, and the tonic chords and all the rest of it. There are a reason why pop songs are pop songs, because they follow certain formula.
It's you.
What's the one? The 1563, is it? The So Lonely by the is it So Lonely by the Police?
Yeah, I know the song.
Yeah. It's With or Without You by U2. It's the theme from
It's
A
a
Question
million
of
songs.
Sport It's over and over and
Yeah.
over. And once you know that pattern in your head, that chord progression, you'll hear it in a billion songs.
Yep.
And there's
Especially
a reason
pop
why
music.
it works. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because it produces something in us it does what we expect it to do.
So
In a
it's something of a way it possesses you.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, music. I mean, if you want to talk about possession in that way, you know, you listen to a song and it can take you back to a previous time like that. Even more so, a smell. Have you ever noticed that about smells? You smell a smell you're not smelling in a while, and it's like takes you back to wherever you first smelled it.
The only thing I can smell is sage. Since we had Mark Biersk on.
And
But
mint.
yeah,
Speaking of sage,
but true. Yeah, the senses can trigger memories. There must be some sort of something to do with the way memories are processed or the way they're.
the in the occult is put as like that cup analogy, that you are the cup, and like mem, the word mem as in memory is invoking a cup and water. In fact, the Hebrew letter M, mem, means water, like the Phoenician, you know, taking the language back. So there's this thing about auditory particularly has a more direct link to your memories than sight
Text.
or
Yeah.
than anything else. It literally just takes you straight back there.
That's interesting. And yeah, and I've said this a million times, but the way music can be used to program your memory or teach your memory. So like teaching the kid the alphabet rather than saying A, B, C, D. You put a tune
Twinkle,
to
twinkle,
it
little star, yeah.
and they pick it up quicker.
Yep. It's just the way humans are. That's why a lot of religious texts are a song.
Oh, right, yeah. Hymns, psalms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how many crap advertisements do you remember from your youth because it had a song attached to it?
Did somebody say just eat?
For mash, get smash. Came to mind. I'm boring a bit.
Buy a bike.
Buy a bike. Come down to Charnock, Richard Cycles.
When's the last time you heard that, Ryan?
I think they're still using it, you know. But
I was
don't
gonna say,
often listen to
I've not heard it for 20 years, but if you give one line, you'll know the
Buy
next
a
line.
bike.
You know,
Chuckle Vision.
Chuckle
Chuckle Vision. But you remember, like, you'll watch a program when you were a kid, and you'll remember that intro. Apart from the intro to the A-Team, I can never quite. There's too much going on there. In 1975,
yeah.
a team of crack commandos were accused of a crime they didn't commit, locked in an underground stockade. Oh,
Yeah,
Neil,
it should have been sung. If it was
Yeah.
sung to a melody, we would all remember it. Instead, we just remember dun, dun, dun,
If it had rhymed.
dun, dun, dun.
if it had rhymed as well. Oh, you forgot
Dun, dun, dun,
that. Yeah.
I like my face was my favourite.
Face was my favourite as well.
He's a cheeky chap,
Yeah.
Mm.
Although I kind of,
bit of a cock.
yeah, a bit of a knobhead. Well, with a name like Dirk Benedict.
If I watched it today, obviously Murdoch would be my favourite.
I think-
Howling Mad Murdoch, because he's obviously the comic relief.
I wanted to be Face, but I associated more with.
Murdoch.
Well, it's like I wanted to be Luke Skywalker, but I grew up Han Solo. That's just the way it goes, isn't it?
Well, they're an interesting pair, Luke and Han, aren't they? Because you've got the pure farm boy. He doesn't know the outside world. He's sheltered. He's been stuck on this backwater planet, you know, helping his aunt and uncle out. No real experience of, you know, he says, the Empire, the rebellion. You know about the rebellion. He's isolated.
You fought in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and then you've got Han, who's the complete opposite. He's a scoundrel,
Yeah.
famously.
Pirate. He's already out there.
Yeah,
He's seen it all. He's
He's-
your big brother, really, isn't he?
he's an old sea dog.
Mm.
He's wily. He shoots first.
He always shoots. There's only had shot. It's not had shot first. It's had shot.
Yeah, Guido never shot, did it? Yeah, they're two sides of a whole, aren't they? If you integrated those two kind of personalities together to make a well-rounded.
Well, these are all
Individual.
again those stations on that hero's journey. He would if he carried on long enough, he would become Han Solo, but with moral.
Well, Han redeems himself, doesn't he?
Mhm.
Because he, you know, that's his arc. He starts off as a smuggler, a scoundrel, a pirate,
Just a selfish person.
and selfish, yeah, and ends up becoming. He makes ultimate sacrifices in the
So
end.
what's Princess Leia's an interesting one because she's not by any stretch a damsel in distress.
No, tough.
Tough.
She's tough. The way she talks to Vader when she's arrested,
she's
you know.
not scared.
What
But
does she say? She smells him, doesn't she?
Yeah,
I
she
smelled your foul stench as soon as I boarded the ship, Lord Vader. Something like that.
She's a
Tough cookie, my
Yeah.
mum would have said.
she's feisty. She's in control. Even it's not even like that snooty. You can tell she's scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she's under control, but she's just not a coward. She's a great character. She gives those two the backbone that they need. Luke's a good person, but he's a novice. Han Solo's not a good person. He might be cocky, but she gives him that forthrightness and uprightness that's needed, and the officialdom.
Forthright is a good way.
Yeah.
Virtuous.
Virtuous.
This is a pure character.
Mm.
Her motives are pure at all times.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean, what's her arc? You know, she starts off as like pretty much.
She doesn't have
I
one.
suppose she softens up in the end.
She doesn't.
She softens up with the Ewoks.
Yeah. Give him a cuddle. Be Chihuahua. Yeah, but again, see, we happen to be talking about films that we saw when we were between about 5 years old and, when you can actually watch these things, and about 12. I think so it came out a couple of years before we were all born, Star Wars, so we weren't able to see that. But I do remember seeing Empire Strikes Back on Pirate at my dad's friend's house, and it was like videos were new, never even considered pirate. Oh, I got it from a video shop or something. One of they've done with it now, you can buy it, whatever it was. And I just remember the AT-ATs walking across it. I was like, what is this? And it's that age where you don't yet understand the world and you're looking for answers. And a film like that can give you answers. And we're still now, as grown-ass men, talking about these films that were Labyrinth. There's another one. I'd imagine for young girls, that's really good.
Yeah, my missus loves that film.
I love that film.
I never saw it till
That's
adulthood.
full of occultism.
Prince of the Fairies.
He does one in that dance magic. Dance magic. He
Oh, you the
he
baby.
does
Oh,
a
we're
line.
bad now, are it?
It's pretty good.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Hey, my baby, come on.
I don't know it. I've
Trying
seen it
hard
once.
as babe could try. What can I do?
I've got her a mug. It's got a little worm. What's the little worm's catchphrase?
I don't know, but I remember him being Cockney.
Oh, yeah. No, it's gone now. It was
Have you seen it, Matt?
Labyrinth, yeah. Yeah.
You remember the little worm where she's got to walk through the wall and she can't see that there's actually a gap in the wall.
Vaguely. What comes to my mind is like some kind of goblins.
Yeah, they were cool, those goblins.
Is it not a Muppet Jim Henderson type thing?
Henson.
Yeah, Jim
whatever.
Henson.
It was Jim Henson, yeah. It was
Yes.
the puppeteer.
I mean, it so clearly gets very occult. So what is Labyrinth about? It's about a young girl who's made responsible for a baby. It's not her baby, but it might well be because she's on the cusp of puberty. She's, I think, Phil going to...
He'll come back, don't worry.
Phil, please don't leave me, Phil. Matt's horrible to me. Every time you go out, he starts swearing at me and nipping me.
Not this time. Not this time.
No, you can if you want to like it. I just like pretending to be a victim. So it's this young woman on the cusp of, not just puberty, but womanhood. She's kind of gone through puberty, really.
Mm.
And so she's out there, and then the David Bowie character is basically the threats that are out there. Not men that already know, men that can have the way with her, sexy men of the world that already have everything that she might want from a husband, but isn't interested in being her husband. He just wants to capture her and
What
have
does
his
he
way
want
with
to
her.
do with her in the film? I can't remember.
He just wants to have her.
Is that what it is? Is
Yeah.
that the underlying sort of
Yes.
theme in it?
And all the responsibilities will evaporate. But you get the sense that baby's going to become one of those goblins.
Or is the bait? Is it she has to protect the baby.
She has to protect the baby. She's got
Yeah.
to assume this responsibility.
Right.
So it's particularly towards the end, he's really charming with her, and it gets quite sexual and lusty, and you know, he's the dangers that she's going to face.
What was his name?
David Bowie.
Jared.
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 King of the fairies.
That's really good.
Was it?
Was that what he was, really? He was king of the
Yes.
Prince
fairies.
of the fairies.
Is that what he is?
Goblin King.
The Goblin King.
Right, okay. Isn't that a difference between a goblin and a fairy, then?
So goblins, so all these little people from all the mysteries and all the myths tend to be an externalized version of your autonomic systems. So it'll be particularly psychological things. You know, like you'll think of something. I mean, on the simplest level, it's, can you remember that guy's name from that film? No. Then you'll go make a cup of tea and it pops into your head. There's some little goblin in there, some little dwarf that's mined away, you know, gonna look for the thing, caught it in his goblet, and then come back and giving you that information. That's what all that is. When you look into dwarves particularly, that's what it is.
Mining. They're mining
mining.
your mind palace.
Yes.
Without you being conscious of it, and then
Yeah.
throwing you. I've got the answer, sire.
Yeah.
It's Tom Cruise.
So people of the past were prone to externalizing these things. That's what superstition is.
Mm.
You put what's going on in your mind out there. Is it not?
And a goblin's doing that.
And a goblin's doing that. But goblins are a bit more, and fairies particularly are a bit more drug-like. But you look at dwarves and that, they were all like, there's Scottish ones called red caps and red cap mushrooms. These things are linked. Goblins, the goblet form of the mushroom. I might have told it before, but it's the same with Father Christmas, but you had hobgoblins. So the hob is what you cook on.
Mm.
You don't call it that in the States, but your stove.
Mm-hmm.
So hobgoblin would help your wife, you know, around the house to do a
I
washing.
think mine's on strike.
Don't we know, Phil?
To do all the washing and the cooking and everything that needs to be done. So
I might rename myself.
hobgoblin.
Amish hobgoblin.
So what you do was put a dish out the night before with some milk, particularly like soured milk. So think about Father Christmas and some whiskey.
Yeah.
So you put the soured milk on and you put your mushroom cap on that had already been dried out. Put your mushroom in there and it would soak it up overnight.
Got you.
Mm.
And what would happen then was that it decarboxylates, basically, particularly if it's sour, all those acids and that lactic acid decarboxylate. It removes a carbon molecule from the muscimol and the abotenic acid, and then turns it into muscimol. So basically, what's poisonous or not very nice effects, I'm still all right, thank you, buddy, are negated, and then you eat it, and then you help round the house the day after. He's got this very jovial spirit, Amanita, particularly. And you go and do your stuff.
Like
with a good
Mario.
spirit. Very much like that, yeah. And it distorts, if you have enough, it'll distort the size of things, so you don't have a good sense of scale for stuff.
Mm. Cool. So she enters a labyrinth.
Yes, the labyrinth is an analogy for the mysteries, but the mysteries are to do with wombs. So the labyrinth, labia, similar. You know, there's a bloodthirsty animal, minotaur, in there. It's your sexuality.
Oh, right, okay. I was just thinking of a bull.
A lot of these holy sites are called like the navel. They're named after like Potbelly Pig, Potbelly Hill, Göbekli Tepe, the navel of the earth. This is symbology.
Yeah,
that goes back thousands of years. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the Greeks with the labyrinth story are borrowing that.
Yeah, and that minotaur, and again, bulls and mushrooms are very much linked, very, very much linked in those. The Soma cow, the sacrificial bull of Mithras, you know, that minotaur too.
Apis bull.
Well, check
from Egypt.
Yeah, absolutely. Check the minotaur out. He has a son with I forget who, with some one that likes shagging half bull men. I'm sure he's well endowed, but there's a son there called Glykos, which means grey blue, and he needs to be preserved in honey. So there's another mushrooms turn blue grey when the psilocybin types when When you squeeze them, that's one of the identifying characteristics of them.
Right.
And they would be preserved in honey. So
Right.
a blue dude that needs to be preserved in honey. It did
Okay.
say of the bull, Carl Ruck would say the moo of the bull would be the same as the moo of the mushroom kind of sprouting out. Remembering that these mushrooms grow on cowpats. That's where you're going to find them.
Carl Ruck.
Right.
I need to get into Carl Ruck.
He's a dude. He's Ammon's teacher.
I know. That's
Yes.
why, because I heard this only a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to get into Carl.
He's getting
Ruck.
on
Has he got
now,
books?
Carl.
Has he got books?
Oh, God, mate. Yeah.
Good.
I never read it, but because I was on the same track with the Mithray stuff, there's the mushroom that civilized the West or something like that it's called. It's all about Mithras. He's done, they tend to be mushroomy, LSD kind of, as in ergot books. But he's right on the money. We keep finding out that he's right on the money. Well, certainly my speciality is not necessarily anything but the information gained from the symbols themselves. It's certainly in the symbols.
Right. Can we think of any more films, like formative films
Well,
from childhood?
can you? I don't know if you've ever watched Legend.
Yes.
That's the one that's my touchstone childhood. First being scared at a film.
That was my first being scared of a film. Tom Cruise with the big horns, and I've only seen it once that time.
Tom Cruise
Tim
he
Curry,
doesn't,
innit?
he doesn't have the big horns. Tom
No,
Cruise.
Tim
He's the
Curry's
hero.
got the
Curry,
big
sorry.
horns, yeah.
There's like a devil in it, isn't there?
Yeah, Tim-
That's what I can remember. Is that who it is? Tim Curry.
Yeah, same dude that played it.
Yes.
Just such
In
a,
the TV film.
Yeah.
But that's all I can remember from that film is the huge red horns
Demon.
of the demon. Yeah.
you could do that again. You could take those huge red horns of the Devourer and a planet. Can you think of a devouring planet with two great big horns on it?
Saturn.
Anything else?
No.
Unicron.
Oh my gosh.
The Transformers.
Right, we'll stop there.
I did promise people stupid
you-
impressions, bad jokes, and singing.
I think the singing is an addition, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I might have invented that just then.
So Unicron is a devourer of worlds
He's a devourer of worlds.
with horns,
Is he?
and
Yeah.
he's a planet.
He's a planet.
It's a planet.
Voiced by Orson Welles, his last role.
And his name
Wow.
is Kron, as in Kronos. Think about it. There you go.
Unicron. So one
Time. One time.
So is Tim Curry trying to devour Tom Cruise in Legend? What happens at the
Yeah.
end? I can remember some kind of flames.
You brought it up. I'd have left it alone. I remember there's a unicorn in the visual of Tim Curry's so impressive.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing costume I can think of.
What about Mrs. Doubtfire?
Saturnian, time. Had James Bond in it. Was it Sally Field? Who was
Yeah.
the one woman in it? Yeah, Sally Field.
Mm.
Oh, I'm not Billy Connolly. That's clearly channeling Billy Connolly there. Look, almost every film from the 80s is a cult. We were just talking Never Ending Story. That's got loads of it in there. There's one point he comes across the Sphinxes. I keep saying the Sphinxes because they hold the big secret to all the cult.
I just had another one pop in my mind, and it popped out again. I need that little dwarf in my subconscious to mine it.
To help you out.
Yeah.
We could just literally. Have we got any suggestions from
Well, the
from
Wizard of Oz is one there that's been shouted at us.
So that's easy. Wizard of Oz is easy. So she's the fool. She's got the fool card from the tarot is a guy with flowers getting lost in the flowers with a little dog that follows him. Essentially, he might walk off a cliff, but he doesn't know what the hell's going on. So Dorothy's got a little dog that follows her and famously falls asleep in a field of forget-me-nots.
Right.
And you've got so you got the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion.
Yeah, the three compadres.
Yeah, and they're after three fundamental bodies, as they would call them in the occult, of man, which are the intellectual, the spiritual, which would be the heart with the courage, and the heart, as in the emotion.
Mm.
And you've also got a mineral man, as in the Tin Man, a vegetable man, who is the straw man, and an animal man,
The anima.
so yeah,
lion.
So you've got these three. They are representing three bodies. You've got the Munchkins, which are these autonomic processes. Then you've got the east is where the sun rises and the west is where the sun sets. Do you get it? One's wicked and one's good. Even in Egypt, when they say you died, they say they'd put you in a westing house.
Right, yeah.
You know, you're westing where the sun goes to die.
Could you link the yellow brick road to the path of the sun? Maybe?
Yes, absolutely. Of course you could. It's that golden path. It's also the spine. Gets to the Emerald City.
What's a flying monkey?
So, well, those are
Chaos?
Yeah, well, it's your chaotic thoughts.
Right.
So you got your little munchkins, and those flying monkeys are the opposites. So it's that monkey mind that we've all got. It's like when you're trying to go to sleep at night, and it's like, oh, you've not done this, you've not done that. Do you remember that thing that you did when you were 12? That was so fucking embarrassing. You absolute prick. Why did you do that? Oh, for God's sake! That's the flying monkeys.
So
The what's he called? The Green Wizard. What's his name? The Green Ranger.
The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz. It's that title here. So you could, if we're going tarot analogies, he is the wizard, the magician from the beginning, the trickster, but he's also the hierophant, the guy who's a higher magician. So you've got like your stage magician who can trick you, do all the trickery. He might invent new technologies, but he's a huckster, the magician card. And then 4 cards later in card number 5, he's grown into this hierophant who's more like a religious teacher of a cult who's got lots of secrets, but he's pretending it's something that it's not. Famously, like all religions, the religions, particularly the Abrahamic faiths, pretend they're worshipping Jupiter, and they're not. They're worshipping Saturn, to put an analogy on it. You know, they're pretending they're worshipping this good god of fate, where really they're worshipping this dark god of physics and time and space. I'll maybe do another episode on that later on, but it's very clear to me. Well, Jehovah, what's another name for the Christian god? El. Jehovah's Jove. Jupiter.
For the Romans, yeah.
Yeah.
Jove.
El is Saturn. That's the Canaanite word for it. It's just the way it goes. Look, we're not here to go into the roots of religion.
So Helen was asking about Alice in Wonderland. I know it's a book.
Well, it's a film.
It's a film.
Alice in Wonderland, the same again, very much like the Labyrinth. This young girl who is about to, it's all maze-like under there. It doesn't make much sense. It seems to be a world of adults, but that are all intoxicated by some measure. She's entering into this womb of mysteries where it will get you out of your own mind. That's the whole point in the drug taking part of the mysteries, which it only goes so deep. It's not anything like the ultimate idea in the mysteries. It's almost like an initiation, as she's being initiated not only into puberty but into the adult world, which is quite compartmentalized and is essentially a bunch of kids that haven't quite grown up, very dysfunctional adults. There's some mind control stuff in there as well, where each scene is also a part of itself, but then all these paradoxes. It's waking her up. It's eating the mushroom, grow smaller, get bigger.
She consumes stuff in there.
Yeah,
doesn't she,
exactly.
that makes it goes-
Yeah, and she's told to do it. She just does it. But it's the only way she's going to get in or out of these circumstances. And eventually she snaps out of it, and she's been in Wonderland. It was all a hallucination. You know, I mean, that worm sat there bloody smoking opium on a mushroom, you know what I mean? That's straight from the books. It's not...
You've got the Mad Hatter. I can't remember the name for people who made hats. But
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's hard, but they used to get mercury poisoning.
Yeah.
And that's why the term Mad Hatter comes from.
Yeah.
Oh. But did
They
they use
used mercury in the process of making
To
the
make it
hats.
shiny. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
That's why they went mad. I've got another film/book that I think probably has a lot of mileage in it. That's just come to me. Peter Pan.
Peter Pan, again, is a Saturnian one.
What makes you say Saturn?
Well, TikTok, the crocodile.
Right, so time is a theme.
There's that Capricorn again of the winter in more Eastern zodiacs is this idea of the Makara, crocodile or crab that devours. It's the Taurut of the Egyptians, that big hippopotamus with a dagger that devours your soul if you've not been really good. It's TikTok is, because he's ticking and talking, it's the devouring aspect of time.
Yep.
You've got these adults that they're sick of it, basically. They're scared of time. Captain Hook. Yeah, and Peter Pan, who's avoiding growing up. He won't take on these responsibilities. So there's a boy refusing to grow up, a pubescent girl again, you know, who's going through all these tribulations, and you've got the adults that are trying to become youthful again, but one's got to devour the other. It's very Saturnian.
Yeah, the boy who would never grow up. And time stands still in Neverland. I don't know if that's linked to them destroying all the clocks.
Yeah.
But, you know, Wendy, if you go to Hook with Robin Williams, Wendy ages when Peter ages when he returns to
When he
Earth.
leaves.
Yeah, and everyone else stays the same in Neverland. You've got the Lost Boys. Wendy becomes like a mother figure.
Yeah.
For the family and the Lost Boys.
Yeah. Because they got nothing to do. They got no responsibility, so they're lost.
I think that's part of the message, isn't it? Is about you got to face up. We all meet them in our lives. We meet Peter Pan. Men in inverted characters.
Men suffer from these things particularly.
It's weird, that, isn't it?
Because women's time for women goes differently, because they've got all these bodily initiations. These things are limited. You know, these things do happen in epochs. It's not the same for a man. You know, your reproductive capability doesn't really end.
No. Yeah, look at Mick Jagger. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, he had a child not long ago, in his late 70s, I think.
I think he's had one in his 80s. Who was the other one? The Godfather.
Chino?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's had one.
Am I a dad again?
I think he was
We're
in
getting
his
some
early
good ones that I
80s.
filled tonight. It was a good subject.
Yeah.
Can you say Dunkachino? Have you seen that one?
What's that?
He sold out and did an Adam Sandler film. And he's coming on, and it's for Dunkin' Donuts. And he's going, something, Dunkachino. Give him my caramel mocha, motherfucker.
We've all got child support to pay, haven't
Well,
we?
well, if you don't stop having kids, you will have, won't you? You'll have
Yeah.
to keep working. Fucking hell.
De Niro's the same, isn't
No,
it?
it's not like if you're Elon Musk, you can have 15 kids. He don't care.
More.
They don't know. They don't know how many kids he has. He's like Bojo, the clown.
Yeah, I've heard reports there's loads of them running around, apparently.
Thinks he's frigging Genghis Khan.
What about
Pinocchio.
Guillermo? Well, I was going to say that. I was going to
It's a
say
good one.
Pan's Labyrinth. Have you ever watched that?
Oh, it's similar to that. It's, again, you've got a pubescent, you know, a young.
I can't remember what
person.
happens. I just remember some eyes on some palms
Yeah, that's cool.
in that. There's some kind of entering.
It's the same as Labyrinth, basically, Pan's Labyrinth.
Right, okay.
Again, it's the sexuality, it's the twists and turns, and can you stay moral? And the Sphinx is in that. Again, the Sphinx keeps turning up everywhere. The Sphinx is in that too, as this creature of time and space, with high wisdom, but it's highly, highly dangerous as well. But refer to the other Saturn episodes for the revelation on that, which is essentially all about time and harmonics and how energy goes from that timeless place where all things happen all at once. The universe comes from it. It's often called a black sun, and the energy's broadcast through there to this time realm through Saturn, who cuts off the phallus of Uranus, the infinity. Essentially, Uranus means the sky, like unlimited sky. So if there's unlimitedness, there's also nothing at the same time, because everything's the same thing. It's homogeneous. So Saturn cuts off that power, drives things into cyclical time, gives things a masculine and feminine, beginning and end, yin and yang. And then we have a series of strange mathematics that it looks like are the first inklings of physics, these 432, 108 numbers, and those are related to time and space on a fundamental level, it seems. And that's the eventual answer to the mystery of the Sphinx, which you might know as what goes on 4 legs in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 in the evening. It's you crawling on 4 legs, walking on 2. You got a stick in the afternoon. But that's something that came later. It's about time. That's time. The Sphinx is a lion, a bull, eagle, and a man, which are
Zodiac.
4 zodiac signs. And when you add those up, you just get towards this long cycle of procession. Within that cycle are these magic harmonic numbers I just discussed. That's the riddle of the Sphinx. Seems to be the main secret of the Masons, all the religions. The name of God in Hebrew encodes all this stuff. I was reading Eliphas Levi again last week, and he was saying it's a 4-letter word. It's Jehovah. That's the Hebrew version, the name of God. It's in the Tot of the Bohemians. It's in Tarot of the Taroists. It's in Azot of the alchemists. You might have heard of Azoth. That's another name for this life force I was just talking about. And that is when you decode those 4-letter words through numbers, the old gematria, it's always procession again. It's always this long year, 25, 9, 20 year cycle. It's in the word Lord. Like they used the word Jehovah in the Hebrew. Well, they use Lord in the King James, don't they? It's L-O-R-D in capital letters.
What they translate to, yeah.
You work out the numbers for that, and it's, I forget the exact number, 6,000 and something years, which is a processional season. There's 4 of those for each season, and then you get 25, 9, 20 out of it. And all those words that I just mentioned do that. This is just a big secret. I'm still yet to really. I know it's got something to do with all this energy stuff. I know you had another energy guy on the other week, didn't you?
Mark, yeah.
Yeah.
Energy healing.
Yeah, I watched that one. I watched the one with the lady last week as well. That was good.
What's
She said some numbers. If she doesn't answer listen, if you're watching, if you don't answer my little comment now, I'm finding out myself.
What did she ask?
She mentioned 2 numbers by John Michel, like 6.
Oh, right. 2 sacred numbers.
618 something, yeah.
Right.
And 1009 or something like that too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see they all add up to 9. I've never come across them before, but I'm starting to notice I'm coming across numbers that I feel like it's the right solution, but I don't know what the hell the numbers are. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So the universe sends me these things, and I think, as I'm asking that question more and more, she says that. I'm like, I never really read that much John Michel because, again, like with Carl Rock, I'd learned too much from him and not do my own investigation. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like I'm well on with that book again now. I've got like over half of it polished. And
your book?
My book. Yeah,
Oh, right.
Over half
cool.
of it's polished, and I've got about 3/4 of the way through the rest unpolished. But it turns out, my friend said to me, yeah, I'm writing a book as well. I'm like, all right, cool. She said, yeah, so it's got to be about 75 to 80,000 words. I'm like, no, what? I thought it was like 100,000. She's like, no, about 80,000, else the publishers don't want it. I'm like, no, I'm about 150. I've written 2 books.
Wow.
So I'm going to have to
edit. Or just break it into 2 or 3 even.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. It's finely judged. There's so much information in here, and there's so much proof. And I'm taking you on a journey, you see, and it would be like there'd be no cliffhanger there. It would be too much of it. You'd be like, oh, I've learned all this stuff, but you've not got to the fucking point.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to do a lot of slicing. But I'm thinking I might write it as it is, and maybe do the audio book version like that, and then also do an audio book of the chopped down version because that'd be easy to do.
You're going to have to do an abridged
version.
Abridged version.
Yeah. Apparently people lose interest by like any more than 80,000
That's
words.
bullshit.
How many pages is that in the?
Depends if it's good or not.
And if it's got normal size text.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, these are considerations though.
Mm.
But you want to make it easy to read as possible, don't you? Whatever it is. And look, I'm as an artistic person, I particularly uphold, I call it the Japanese table analogy. And that is, look, there's artful. You can make a lovely, elaborate table with the French legs there, with the nice little curls and scrolls and that. Beautiful, ornate, easily damaged, difficult to repair, expensive. Japanese table, barely comes above waist level if you're kneeling down. Little stocky legs, those the fittings that they use, like the dovetail weird, they've got a full, as the Japanese are, they have a full art of different kind of dovetails that you can use and it'll stay there forever. And the techniques they use are just gorgeous. Perfectly done, perfectly considered. No glue, no nothing. All not together. Will last generations. The top's thick, easy to plane down. It's just that. It's well designed. It's a tight script and not something half written and then you're making up for on the fly because you've got money to throw at it. It's well considered right from the go and does its job. That's my, and you can put that to anything. You can put that to film. I've put it to the book.
Style over substance.
Yeah.
Oh, cliche.
And because I'm dealing with the subject of magic as well, some of it's written between the lines, but not very, because I'm trying to expose it. So there's a fractality to it as well that I actually set out the premise at the beginning and tell you. And then through each step, I'm extrapolating from those. Somebody put it, I gave somebody a chapter the other day, and they said it's like Euclid's famous mathematical text. It's a series of propositions at the beginning to then make theorems at the end. You putting down, this is true, this is true, this is true, this is how it's done. So I've done that with symbolism. This is what symbols are. This is how it works. This is why the symbol of a circle is such. We can infer symbology from a line. It's got two ends to it in the middle. We've already spoke about that tonight. And from these precepts, a bird is something of the air. It flies in the sky. It's like a thought, a mind. It's volatile. It's tough to pin down. You know what I mean? A fish is something under the waters of the subconscious. It's something that swims up from the depths. The depths will be the unconscious. I've laid it out in the cosmology of because this is what it was. Their cosmology is the basis of their symbols. There was waters below, air in the middle, the earth, waters above, these ethereal waters above that the universe is made of. And then when you realize that's you, lay those out, and then we can go and decode all the symbols.
Cool.
You do that for films. It works for everything. It works for your dreams. It works for anything.
What about the Karate Kid?
You want to say wax on, wax off straight away, but
That's what
so
came to
fucking
my
corny.
mind.
Do you know what I'm saying?
What
You've
about
got
the bonsai tree?
Grip with the bonsai. I just like to do the accent.
Man who catch fly with chopstick
What?
Better not get kinky
can
idea.
accomplish anything.
And
Oh.
for me, it's
But
the
cannot
music
rock.
from Karate Kid that's the best thing. And that as a martial artist, it's that you have to see ladies doing it that aren't trained in martial arts in 80s films, and you see daft kids doing it, or just anyone that doesn't know martial arts. You do that, everybody. That's your pose. I'm
Yes.
gonna fight you now. Doo-doo. Like
I've
this.
seen that one,
And then
yeah.
they turn around like that, and it's like, oh, it's
Is
just.
that not what you're supposed to do? Is that why I lose all of my street fights?
So Daniel,
Son.
Daniel's
Son,
son.
there's no father.
Ah, yeah.
He's not on the
hero's
scene.
journey. It is the hero's journey. You're right.
Yeah.
Is he dead or alive?
It's never said, I don't think. I assume it's a divorce.
I thought it was a divorce
I'm pretty sure it
situation,
is, 'cause
and
they've moved. So he's a fish out of water. He's
Yep.
moved to new circumstances. He's trying to fit in. He
Yes,
starts
he
a new
is.
school. We can all relate to how stressful, intimidating that would be as a 15-year-old having to
Yes.
move to a new town, go to a new school, not knowing anyone
Yeah.
there. I mean, that's my worst nightmare at that age.
And he's
Sorry, the baddies get dressed up as skeletons, don't they? In that.
Saturnian black skeletons. Who is Pat Morea, Mr. Miyagi? Who is he? Is he? Well, first of all, he's his
Yoda.
best mate, isn't he?
Yoda.
He is Yoda, though, isn't he? It's that same
Yeah.
character. He's that same,
Mhm.
dude. Wise person is the hermit.
Mm.
Wise person.
Wise hermit, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
from a time
He's
gone
definitely
by
a hermit.
on
With
his own.
With a tragic backstory.
He has a tragic backstory, yes.
World War II. Yeah,
Okinawa. He's not Japanese. He's from Okinawa.
Well, he's got a
Fought for the-
joke. He's got a joke. That fella, Pat. Is it Maria? Something like that.
Morita.
Morita. That's right. He goes, Johnny, I've not been Japanese since 1942. Something like that. Because they were quite naughty during World War II.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know about that.
Internment camps and whatnot. But yeah. So Mr. Miyagi is the wise hermit.
Yes. Daniel San's the young fool, doesn't know what the hell's going on, needs, Luke Skywalker, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's always this wise old man with a youthful heart. You often find in Japanese works that he's a trickster, little pervy guy as well. Like he'll like a drink, he'll like a smoke, he'll manipulate you. He's waking you up by his tricksterisms. You often see it in kung fu films. Drunken Masters, Jackie Chan, there's one. He's literally a drunk, but he's wise. He's constantly seen outside of himself by his drug use. It's just the right amount. Although we'll say, I think at the end of that one or the next one, he dies from drinking too much.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You've got Cobra Kai's dojo, led by
That guy there.
your man there.
You get Vietnam War out of him somehow, don't you? Like his PTSD. Yeah.
It's a case of the ends justify the means.
Yes.
Winning at all costs. Subjugating your morality, your sense of right and wrong for victory.
For victory. Yeah.
Sweep the leg, Johnny.
They're dressed in black.
Yeah. Saturnian again.
He's dressed in white.
Yeah.
The Karate Kid.
The only time, so it's these symbols that have fallen through the West from these same things I keep talking about from all these old religions. Of course it does. But the Saturn thing, you'll find in society, there's very few people that will wear black to symbolize something good. And there's two instances I can think of straight away. So forgetting formal occasions and stuff like that, you've got priests, particularly Catholic priests and Jesuits and guys like that. Jesuits, famously the Saturnian priests. You'll see the symbol of Saturn in the Jesuit sign. But also graduation. When you've got a Saturnian square hat on,
The motorboard.
and you are, because Saturn's at the cap of the head, it's Capricorn, it's the top.
And your
of
cape.
things. Yeah, same shit. And you take it off because you've done your degrees. Saturn's about the longest stretch of degrees. Saturn in logic, grammar, and rhetoric is like logic. It's having done the work. Saturn's an old man. He's been there and seen it. He's this same character of as Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Mr. Miyagi.
Wise, yeah.
Yeah, he's the wise old hermit man. The hermit from the tarot is the Saturn card. So, among a few others.
Trivium. Where's the trivium come in?
So,
Logic,
Okay.
grammar, and rhetoric.
logic, grammar, grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And if you mess those up, then you'll go wrong.
You got to do them in the right
You've got to
order.
do them in the right order.
Yeah.
On
Don't
the-
try and rhetorically speak before you know what you're saying.
So, what is it on the Tree of Life?
What, the Kabbalistic tree?
Bina,
of life?
it's Bina on the Tree of Life. Yeah, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. It's the circle, lots of circles in a tree shape.
The Sephiroth.
The Sephirot, yeah. So that is understanding. That's what it means. It's because you've done the cycle, you've done the degrees, you've reached the head, the cap. You can take the cap off. You can go outside of yourself. So you throw it off. You throw off the old limitations. You're no longer a Padawan. Cut off those braids that they did that in Egypt as well. You'll notice Obi-Wan Kenobi on episode 1.
Shit. It's off.
He's got a braid. You
Right,
cut it off
yes.
with mastery. Horus had such braids. It was a symbol of childhood in Egypt. And so too for Jews now. Kids, they don't get the haircut till they're 3. They have long, beautiful hair.
Is that something to do with the curly side locks that the
Probably
Orthodox Jews
some,
have, I wonder?
yeah, I don't know that much about Orthodox Judaism apart from all the Saturn stuff. But they bind themselves in black stuff and wear a black cube on the forehead, that tefillin.
So people who wear, that's how we got to it. People wearing black.
Yeah.
People seen as good figures.
There's very
Figures for
few,
good.
but they are. What I'm saying is, it's a thing of knowledge. Your priest would have been your highest knowledge guy in your area up until about the Great Fire of London and the Plague.
Sure, yeah.
So they would have been the translator. They could write Latin, all that stuff. The clever guy. Saturn, his smartness, but also limitations. Hence that cat being thrown off you beyond your limits.
Because, when it comes to black and white, black is synonymous with evil in the
dark.
culture.
Yeah, the darkness.
You want to be the white knight,
Mhm.
not the black knight.
The Black Knight's cooler though.
Yeah, but if he's evil,
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement, but he's cool. Like
trying
when I
to
was a
think
kid,
of-
I remember like all the. I like the Decepticons better. I like Cobra.
Did you want to be Darth Vader?
But the Empire were cooler. I had all the Empire figures. I didn't have, and Boba Fett, and I didn't have like
Oh,
all those Rebel guards. They look naff.
right.
They're not
okay.
as cool. The heroes on the good side are better, but
Mm.
as a whole, the Stormtroopers look cool. And
I think
Bill's not agreeing with me. He's a good person.
no, I'm saying that.
I think some people have been asking about Pinocchio as well.
Pinocchio is a cracker because it actually takes in lots of myths. And look, Hollywood, small. I don't want to say the bloody word, but it begins with a P and ends in something that sounds like torpedo. Torpedoes, torpedophiles,
Oh, PDFs.
PDFs,
Yeah.
PDF files. Yeah, so torpedophiles. There's that whole thing in there. It's in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as well.
Child
Really?
catcher.
The child
Oh,
catcher.
that's it. Isn't Pinocchio isn't an Italian folklore story, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So, particularly, I've not read the book, but particularly and the Sphinx is in there again. Particularly the Disney version. Walt Disney was very aware of these things. You got Jiminy Cricket, who's clearly his conscience.
Mm.
You got his fairy godmother, who's wishing upon a star. The whole of Magick for the ancients was almost solely based on drawing down the stars, drawing down the energy of these sympathetic energies from the universe.
The archetypes.
The archetypes. So when you wish upon a star, it's this innate power that you've possibly got to have your wishes come true. But you've got to behave yourself if you want to become a real human.
Mm.
So you can't lie.
Real boy. A real boy.
A real boy. You can't lie. It's not good. You got to get on with people. You can't just drink and smoke and do all these things that are enjoyable ad infinitum because you'll become an ass.
Is he consumed by a whale? Is he inside
So
a
that's
whale?
his dad. So that's
Chaos.
yeah, that is chaos. That is Cetus,
Cetus the whale.
The-
Yeah.
the whale.
great devourer
Yeah,
again.
it's the one-
TikTok.
the same one that gets Jonah. It's that same one. That is the dark side. So you got a dark side to your own soul. So it can symbolize that. In the Greek tradition, it was Typhon who went against all the gods. Same creature. It's the Clash of the Titans. It's the
Kraken.
It's the Kraken.
Kraken.
Mm.
What is that? Well, it's it's the dark side. It's the shadow of God. It's the devil himself. It's everything that could go tits up, come for you. And with Jonah, he's disavowed. God said, "You got to go and preach to these people." Jonah's like, "No, I'm not going to do that, mate. They hate me." And he's like, "No, you got to go and do it. They're all bad people." He's like, "I don't think I'll be doing that." Goes in a boat in the opposite direction. And then there's loads of storms that God sends. And then Jonah's like, "Oh, fucking hell, guys, this is awful. It's me, this. You better chuck me overboard." Like, "Nah, Jonah, mate, we're solid here. We're solid." And then it just gets too bad for him. He's like, "Mate, I'm gonna jump the fuck overboard." And like, "Yeah, you better do it." And he ends up getting swallowed by this whale. And then he repents, gets spewed up on the other side, and then goes and succeeds in his mission. But
Goes
it's
to
because
Babylon.
he's been in the belly of the beast. He's been in that. Oh, I shouldn't have said that when I was 17 to that girl, like we were saying before. You go over everything bad that you've done and come to terms with it and, really examine it. And then you get spat up. Funnily enough, when he gets spat up and he goes and preaches to this city that of bad people. I think it's the Ninevites, somebody like that.
Babylonians, I think.
So
Isn't it?
I can't remember,
I
mate.
think he's told to go to Babylon, I think.
And then he goes and tells them, and then he's quite successful, goes out of the city, and God sends him something to shelter under. and it's called a kukion.
Ooh, right.
And it's just spelt with a U rather than a Y. That's it. And it's fallen away and rotted by the morning. The kaikion, everybody, was one of the mystery tradition of Eleusis. It was one of the mystery tradition potions to get you through the mystery. It's like an ayahuasca kind of an idea. And so famously the recipe that we have spells myco as like mycelium, as in mushrooms. Muco, that root word is the same as our root word for mushroom. And snot, mucus, snot-like things. So it grows, shelters him, and then rots away by the morning. And it's full of worms. Anybody knows that picks mushrooms, well, that's a common experience, the most common experience. Why you got to dry them out quick.
Well, we're talking about like formative films from our childhood. Producer Gav Scott will thank me for this one, but could we talk about Highlander?
I've talked about it once, and as far as discussions about Highlander goes, there can only be one.
Not talking about it.
Yeah, I'm joking.
It's the quest, the prize. So the whole point of the film is about winning the prize.
And what is the prize?
Being the last man standing. Yeah, well, what is the prize?
It seems very, if it seems very of the 80s, that, as in like, there's a capitalist thing, a cutthroat. Everyone's looking for the prize. It's greedy people going around, I will do as much as kill you in order to become immortal.
He's used his immortality to generate incredible wealth through being an antiques dealer.
Yeah.
Right?
We've got this
Is that
Saturn.
funny?
Yeah.
Just is.
There can be only one.
Antique dealer.
Well, yeah, he basically he has an old Japanese samurai katana, doesn't he?
Katana, yeah.
An original, because he fucking got it
He
in
was
the
there, yeah.
1600s.
Yeah.
His apartment's full of Ming vases and Rembrandts because
He was
You've
there,
lived that
man.
long, you'll have acquired these things.
you have another Obi-Wan figure, Ramirez, don't you? The old master.
Ramirez, the Scottish Egyptian Spaniard.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Highlander?
Is he Indian? What are you doing, Highlander? Goodness gracious me. Please put that down. It's very sharp.
He's the wise. He's the guy who's been there, done it all.
He's more like a big brother, I'd say. Yeah, he's edging towards Yoda, but they're very matey, aren't they?
But MacLeod is new to the game.
Yes.
You know, he starts off as a normal Highlander in Scotland. There's that battle, and I can't remember it's been that long, but for some reason he's resurrected and he joins the game.
Yeah.
And so Ramirez acts as his sort of he's the apprentice.
Yeah.
Again, going back to sorcery and
Well,
alchemy and all the rest
what
of
is the cutting off of the head? It's similar to that Saturnian cutting off of the genitals, isn't it? It's to kill your power. It's almost like I'm sure it's not, but you could also almost see it as a return back up that ladder back to the source. If the source is timelessness, which is like being immortal, is put as being immortal. But there's similar themes of time and immortality, and I doubt it's done on purpose, though, frankly.
I think well, I don't know. There's constant flashbacks. You know, it's not a linear story. It's not as bad as like a Christopher Nolan film, but
it feels
flashes
like
back.
the archetype of time, which is inherent in the film, has possessed the film itself and is guiding the writer's hand to write about those themes, rather than those themes were particularly considered and they're trying to reveal mysteries there, if you get me.
No, you don't think it's that sophisticated?
No.
I
But
mean,
I do think it adds leverage to what I said before about people are possessed by these archetypes. If you're going to write a time film, it's got to be about time. That therefore, you know what I mean? Therefore, it's got to have these themes in order to be successful.
MacLeod is being hunted throughout the film by the Kurgan,
Yes.
who is a completely different character. He's an animalistic. He's a barbarian.
Yeah.
He's uncivilized.
Yeah.
He takes no heed of social norms or
Yeah.
decorum or what you should do.
Yeah.
He's your animal side.
Yeah.
MacLeod is the virtuous side. He has a
is.
love interest.
Yeah.
He likes fine art.
He doesn't particularly want to be immortal either. It's not.
Well, that's part of the tragedy. He has a wife in Scotland,
And
when he
he's got
does
to
his
die.
terrible Scottish accent,
Oh God!
and she dies. And he, you know, so he's terrified to fall in love again because
Yeah.
he's been given this gift. He can't fall
This
in
is a
love again.
curse. Yeah.
It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, because he did
Yes.
that, and it's tainted now. Yeah.
Fuckers.
I think it's more sophisticated than you give it credit for, Ryan. To be fair.
Ryan.
Yeah. No, I think
I'm
it's
gonna
amazing.
Stand up
Also,
for Highlander.
You wouldn't even need to say anything else apart from Queen did the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yes, it's they're remaking it, you know.
Oh,
heard.
no.
Henry Cavill.
They didn't
Oh,
even-
right. Okay.
Oh right, yeah. The guy, the
He likes his
director-
lore, though, Henry Cavill.
Well, that's good for me. That's
Yeah.
good though, isn't
That's
it?
what I mean. Yeah, he does. That's what I mean.
I mean, it's a bit thin on the ground, unless you watch the TV series.
Did you see the second one?
there's one
Yeah.
with a Dyson sphere. No, something
Yeah, there
around the
is.
Earth, isn't there?
Yeah, that's the second one, isn't it?
don't
It's not a
know.
Dyson sphere, but it's like a
It's around the Earth, isn't it?
There's a force
it's-
field because of the
the-
hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah, something like that.
The guy, I can't, I'm blanking on his name now, but it's the director's the guy who did the John Wick movies.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I'm interested.
Oh right, I thought you meant the guy that did Highlander
oh,
2.
right. Yeah, yeah.
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
sorry,
No.
the remake,
The
the,
remake.
Henry
Oh,
Cavill
okay, yeah.
remake.
Right. Okay.
Apparently, Cavill is on board, and it's the guy who's running it is
I
John Wick
think
guy.
I think Cavill to his producers is a massive pain in the arse.
Yeah.
But because of his pain in the arsedness, he's producing good stuff.
Mm.
Not that I personally like it, but I can see that the fans like it.
Well, yeah, that was the story, wasn't it, about why he doesn't do The Witcher anymore because he fell out about law.
Because they wanted to do some woke shit.
Yeah. And I've watched a film last night. This is like hot off the press film. I don't know if you've watched it, called The Substance.
Never even heard of it.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to say Demi Moore has
Right.
been nominated for an Oscar
For this film.
for this film. Yeah. But it's mad. So it's like a body, I think it's called like I was reading about it. It's called a body shock film. So, you know, like The Fly or something like
Like
that.
body horror. Yeah, yeah. Cronenberg.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So basically what happens in it is she is a I don't know, a dying light of Hollywood or whatever.
Right.
And then she's, when it comes into the film, she's like on TV as like doing aerobics kind of thing, you know, fitness stuff on TV. And because she's getting on, there's this boorish TV exec that says, right, no, we need to get someone younger in, and she overhears it. And then she goes into hospital, and this person says, you're a good candidate for the substance. Basically, it changed my life. Okay. So basically what happens is you get this substance, and a better, younger version is born from you,
Right.
and it comes out of her body. Basically, this younger version of herself
Yeah,
is
it's
better
It's very
looking.
graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
I
you
believe.
watched it?
I've not
No,
watched
right,
it, but
okay.
I've heard about it.
And you can do 7 days old you, and you have to do 7 days new you, and you're the same all the time, basically.
Right.
You are the same person. It's very strange. But eventually what happens is the younger one starts essentially devouring the older one and using more and more
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
essentially, as we get through the film, and literally sucks the life force out of the older version, basically, to the point that she turns into like an old hag. And eventually the younger, well, spoiler alert here.
The hag. The,
Yeah.
what would be the name? The
Crone.
crone. That's
Yeah.
the word I was looking
I've
for.
She
actually,
literally turns into that. And then there's more. She kills the hag. The young version kills the hag. And then she starts to die because you can't survive without your old
right,
self.
okay.
And then she uses the substance again to make a mad version of herself. And she turns into this like horrific monster eventually.
So it's good.
Yeah.
There's a film called How to Get Ahead in Advertising by Hugh Grant, British film from the 80s.
Wow.
Maybe
Niche.
early 90s.
what really? Who got?
So, not Hugh Grant,
Who
with Nail and I.
Hugh
bloody-
Jackman?
What's his name? With Nail and I, not the Scottish.
I know what you
guy,
mean. The Australian guy.
No, the British guy.
He's Australian, really.
Is he?
Yeah.
Hugh Grant's Australian.
Not
No,
Hugh
with
Grant.
Nail and I.
What's his bloody name?
Who's
Blanking on
Australian?
him. The actor from With Nail and I.
Which one?
The main guy.
Not the main guy, the second
Well,
guy. The
yeah,
drugged up.
Yeah,
Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
He's Australian.
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I don't think he is Australian. Hags
Don't make me
Knickers.
Google.
I just saw Hags Knickers appear there. Matt would sniff the Hags Knickers.
Sniff the hag's knicker.
So, bloody with
Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant.
Yeah.
He's in advertising, which obviously, especially back then, was very cutthroat and full of lies. Advertising.
Not like today.
Well, it's awful, isn't it? It's sorcery by any term. So he gets a boil there, and it just starts growing the more ruthless he gets until it actually grows a better advertiser who's like completely ruthless, and then his head starts to shrink into a boil. How to get ahead in advertising.
That's a mad concept.
Well, it's the
for a
same
film.
film.
Yes, suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
wonder-
never heard of that one.
Have we got any more films from the chat there?
Yeah. Total Recall.
Was that in the chat?
No.
There's a what's the thing called in his belly?
Quato.
What?
Quarto.
Open your
Open your mind to
Yeah.
me.
Quaid.
Makes me very horny when I see that thing.
Time is also a factor.
It's been a factor in all these things. Time and recycling.
What is real and what is not.
Yeah.
Is recall what is the dream?
Yeah.
The film leaves it ambiguous. You don't know. I don't think you can concretely say whether, when he saves Mars, he put his hands in the alien thing, whether that's actually happening or whether he's going to wake up the next day.
So the only thing, and this is it Rich Fulcher from Red Letter Media pointed out that because when he goes to Total Recall at the beginning, and he says, they say like, "What kind of woman would you like?"
Dark-haired,
He picks
athletic, yeah.
And I want that one. And then she comes on. It's like exactly the woman that's in when he the exact woman that he finds in that bar when he gets to Mars, the rebel woman, is exactly who he has on the screen behind him.
Yes.
So that must mean that he's in a program.
So that means he didn't save Mars.
I think that's more of a mistake with
Editing,
with them
continuity.
thinking of, all that stuff, rather than it was intentional by the director, Mr. Verhoeven.
Yeah, I think Verhoeven left it open-ended, left it ambiguous on purpose, and that was an editing mistake. They should have just had some random athletic, dark-haired
or maybe
woman
there would
on
have
the
been
screen.
something else somewhere else that cancelled that out. But
Yeah, have a different actress.
Yeah.
Because she
it was
ain't
going
that
to
good,
be
actually.
Richard Dreyfuss. Did you know that?
Yeah.
What does the woman?
Instead of Sharon
Should've got
Stone,
an
it was going to be
Oscar.
Richard Dreyfuss.
This is Doubtfire.
Well, you think he was supposed to be an office work. He was just supposed to be a bland man that wanted to change his
Oh,
life.
right. I see.
Because
Right,
Arnold
okay.
Schwarzenegger is clearly already an action hero. So
Right.
they had to put him in an industrial.
He was a miner or something, wasn't he?
I remember him with a jackhammer.
jackhammer.
Yeah.
There's something here, isn't there, about a lot of these films entering a dream state? Would
Yeah.
you say?
It's what is real, or being able to clock what is real, and then overcoming it, and the influence of time and repetitive cycles and memory and no memory. It's all these films have been this.
You have, again, in Total Recall, you have the evil twin in Hauser.
Yes. Yeah.
He gets that video, when he's pulls the thing out of his nose,
Yeah.
and the video
Oh,
screen,
yeah.
the video screen comes up, and it's his pre-recorded message.
Yeah. Oh, he's a smarmy git. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What, like,
What do you make of the Johnny Cabs?
AI.
I mean,
Isn't
it's
it? Self-driving
it's
car.
happening now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you know that's the Doctor from Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, Robert Picardo?
He does the voice for Johnny Cab.
Well, if you look at the Johnny Cab himself, it's modelled after his face too.
All right.
That's the first time I saw 3 tits.
I wish I had 3 hands.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes, he joins the rebellion. Oh my God, I can't believe we've missed this film.
Star Wars.
The film we talk about constantly.
The Matrix.
Demolition Man.
Oh, mate, one of my favourites for the stuff like this.
Really?
Yeah.
Demolition Man? I didn't know you were a fan.
Yeah, it's a great film. I watched it loads when I was a kid, and I realised like my brother would watch it because it was garbage, really. But when you watch it, the script's really good, and the themes, and oh my god, Lydia Huxley, greetings and salutations.
But
She's
even now
gorgeous
using
in that.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bollocks.
Yes, she's peaking there, isn't
Yeah.
she?
Prime.
Right.
The social, I think it's more social commentary than maybe you can change my mind rather than alchemical
Yeah, no, definitely.
musings
yeah.
in there.
It reminds me of H.G. Wells' Time Machine.
Right.
Do you get my analogy there? Where there's the Morlocks that live underground, and there's a utopia above ground, but it's dependent on the underground.
Let's face it, the utopia is a dystopia
Yeah.
because you've been fined 5 imperial credits for
Yeah.
breaching the verbal moralities code. You can't swear. You
can't
can't
do
have
anything.
salt. You got to go to Taco
Well,
Bell because it's a monopoly.
It's where
You
society's
can't
going
drive your
to
own
now.
car because it's unsafe.
You-
and then underground with Edgar Friendly is where you can have a rat burger
Yeah.
Yes.
and
So
you can have a beer.
Yeah. Best goddamn rat burger I ever had. It's again, I mean, if you're gonna really look at it, it's Orwellian. It's that in history we've not often seen a developed, we've seen when the right goes too far. We've not often seen it develop when the left goes too far, because it's as it's forming that it goes too far. Hence, communism, Russia, stuff like that.
Yes.
But we've never seen what if the society can hold itself together for long enough, what that would look like. And that's George Orwell's 1984. Equally, it's Demolition Man, and it's equally the UK in 2025. We're heading to that.
It's incredibly prophetic.
Yeah.
Demolition Man.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely so.
It's a technocracy.
I often say if you're not going to read 1984, watch Demolition Man.
Yeah.
It's
Because
the same thing.
Cocteau twins. So Raymond Cocteau
Mm.
is the leader of the dystopia,
Yeah.
the technocratic dystopia.
Huh?
Everyone wears pastel-coloured muumuus, gender non-revealing
Yeah.
clothing,
Uh-huh.
no loud colours.
No.
Everything's got to be safe.
Prim and proper. yeah.
There's a scene early on that always sticks with me, and it's one of these, muumuu wearing guys going to this like terminal in the street, like a phone booth, to get positive reinforcement from a
Yeah.
computer screen
Yeah.
because he's depressed.
Yeah.
Be well, happy thoughts.
Yeah.
And he has
It's-
all these catchphrases.
It's because everyone needs to get on. It's all depersonalized, because that's the only way you're gonna all get on. Because I think one of the problems with leftist utopias is it doesn't take the human condition into account. Whereas when you go underground, you got the human condition, which is all these people enjoying rat burgers and doing what the fuck they want to do and having petrol cars and stuff like that. However, there is the antithesis to that as well in what John, what's his name is in it?
John Spartan.
John Spartan was before, because he was the right gone too far. He's all just like, we've got to preserve this, just fuck it up, fuck them all, do what I want to.
That's how he got his nickname,
Exactly.
Demolition
So
Man.
he's the right gone too far.
Right.
And then he wakes up in a world where the left's gone too far. And then so they need to put this right gone too far in with the left gone too far to cancel it out.
Right.
If you're going to look at it through polarities, which I'm sure they did, because that's the nature of script writing. So it's all in there. It's all in there.
But you have this concept of government going too far on the
Yes.
surface
Yeah.
and anarchy underneath, essentially.
Yes. And that splitting of society.
Yes.
Splitting of the human
You're
condition. again.
hyper-controlled. It's a nanny state. And
But you're safe. You're
safe until a terrorist from the 2000s
And
gets defrosted.
and then you're incapable.
Yes, there's a famous scene where Simon
Yeah.
Phoenix is first defrosted and he's smashing up a phone box or
Yeah.
something, and the cops come and they have no idea how to deal with
they've
him.
Not been trained.
And the
Yeah.
guy's reading from a tablet. He's reading the manual, and the tablet's speaking to him, saying, "Approach the offender, use a firm tone of voice,
Yeah.
and say this."
So
and
that-
they can't deal with him.
I think you can look to this as in mum and dad. That is a life spent with your mum. Your dad's never told you off. Your dad's never said, get back on that bike. I don't care if you fell off. Your mum will give you a cuddle. Oh. Obviously, this is archetypal.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a life spent with your mum and not with your dad. Your dad's harsh reality. Dad'll toughen you up.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I borrow that a minute? Go on.
But I'm just saying they're then I've got to scroll up
For what?
to look at something. Is this
Can you not just say it again?
Is this the name of a film here? The Fountain.
I think they mean the Fountain with Hugh Jackman. I think.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's that one. Or is that the Tree of Life?
Don't know.
I can't remember.
And
Sorry, guys.
we'll just say it again at the bottom. Someone said Blade here, Marissa.
Blade with Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Marissa. Marisa. Sorry, I always say Marissa and her name's Marisa.
Daywalker,
There we go.
based on a
Yeah.
comic.
Shout out. Well, yeah. Again, you're just playing with polarities there. I don't think there's anything.
You've got the same similar tropes. You've got I'm blanking on his name. Chris Christopherson's character again is the hermit.
Yeah.
He lives on his own in that
Yeah.
bunker. He's
Yeah.
wise. He's wily.
He's got PTSD. He's got injuries.
He's sacrificed in the same way as Obi-Wan. He dies.
He's half and half, isn't he? Wesley Snipes in terms of was his mum pregnant with him and she was bitten by
yeah.
Is that the lore?
that's the law, yeah, Phil. Got to get deep.
deep.
Yeah, and that's
Deep
why
into
that's
Blade.
why he can walk in the day, but he's still got to drink blood, hasn't he? Basically, that's his curse.
Yeah, he has a serum though, doesn't he? I think he can get a
Yeah,
serum.
he does get a serum.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything too deep going on in Blade, but it is good.
Yeah.
Was there any other films?
Ogdan has said Inception.
Oh gosh, I've not even seen that one.
I've seen Inception.
No, it's the old what do you call it? Same guy, Oppenheimer man. Time playing with
Christopher
time and
Nolan.
reality. Yeah.
Inception's cool because it again is similar to the Matrix. He's playing about with what is reality and what is not reality. I like when I've made films, I've often played with that. My first half decent film was playing with the nature of beauty, and that some things ugly to some people are quite beautiful to other people. What jumps to mind from films is Alien from Alien. It's frightening, that thing, but it's also beautiful and feminine. And if you look at it, that it's beautifully made and actually it's gorgeous, really, the actual design on it. Don't you think?
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Terrifying, but there's a beautiful femininity to it.
I suppose
Imbued by H.R. Giger, Swiss surrealist and weird nut job.
there is a weird.
bitch.
There is a. I think I understand what you're getting at with in terms of movement, maybe as well.
Yeah, well, the
Maybe
lines
not in
and
the first one.
movement and
Maybe.
Yeah, that was a man. That was a man in the suits, wasn't it? That one.
Very elegant. I think
that
you're thinking
famous
of
scene,
certain
isn't it?
bits. Yeah. Second one certainly
Terrible.
not. No, there are bits in the first one where it moves and it's very,
Isn't
very graceful.
It's a huge puppet, I assume, isn't it? In the
It's
second one.
a big.
I heard it was
basketball player.
Jean-Claude Van Damme
what?
in the suit.
That's Predator.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme was in the original Predator, but then he wanted to go to do kickboxer or something like that, so he pretended
He
to
went
faint.
to do Street Fighter.
Oh God!
Was he really? I didn't know that.
I
Yeah.
think it's a myth.
Oh,
No, it's true. It's true. It's real.
I think it's a myth.
No, it's real.
I think we've already debunked that on this podcast.
No, you've not. I will put one in it now.
This is-
Jean-Claude Van Damme was in it.
One of my favourite moments from Demolition Man is when Edgar Friendly gives his famous monologue about living underground, not under the oppressive government.
Hand up the glow rod. Your friends too. Come on, move.
It's that comedian who got done
Yeah.
for plagiarism. I'm blanking on his name now.
You got balls, cop, coming down here after the show you put on.
We're looking for a murder death killer. Can you help or just bully us with your primitive weapons?
Oh, I wouldn't say that when you've got a primitive weapon pointed at your head.
No, she doesn't know though, does she?
No, she just uses glow sticks. Yeah,
Six sticks, they're called, aren't they?
Yeah, they make you throw up, don't they?
Yeah.
She's never arrested anyone in her life. But again, she's obsessed with 2000s culture.
Yeah.
Mm.
Interestingly.
He really licked my ass, or whatever she says. Yes, Lenina Huxley.
Huxley. That name wasn't chosen by random.
No,
Random.
Brave New World.
Yeah, it's Aldous, named after Aldous Huxley. Same way as Phoenix, Simon Phoenix, Simon the Mage,
And
a
the
Phoenix rising from the ashes.
And what did you say is
John's-
his Spartan?
John.
Juan Spartan.
Well, it's Oannes. John.
Yeah, Yona one is, yeah, why not?
He's Spartan. He lived a Spartan lifestyle.
He did.
Twat blowing shit up.
Yeah.
Well,
Where's
maybe
this-
they're not so primitive.
We're waiting for this monologue.
Yeah, no.
Come on, get on with
So
it.
you think you're taking me in, huh? Guess what? Not happening. You tell Cocteau he can kiss my ass. Yeah, that's right. You tell
Cocteau.
Cocteau it's gonna take an army of assholes to get rid of me, because I don't give a shit. I got nothing to lose.
I don't want to rain on your parade, pal. But I don't know who the hell you are, let alone want to take you anywhere. So stay here, be well, and Cocteau's an asshole.
Let's take them and dump them up top. They're only down here to spy on us.
Wait a minute. You're the guy outside Taco Bell.
The only restaurant chain, Taco Bell.
The restaurant monopoly.
What do you want?
I guess you weren't part of the Cocteau plan.
Greed? Deception? Abuse of power? That's no plan.
That's why everybody's down here?
You got that right. See, according to Cocteau's plan, I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in a non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer wiener. You live up top, you live Cocteau's way. What he wants, when he wants, how he wants. Your other choice? Come down here, maybe starve to death.
All right, then why don't you take charge and lead these people out of here?
I'm no leader. I do what I have to do. Sometimes people come with me. All I want to do is bury Cocteau up to his neck in shit and let him think happy, happy thoughts forever.
Yeah, I love that monologue. It's like, leave me alone.
His stand-up was like that, wasn't it? Very...
Leary. Dennis
Leary.
Leary.
Yeah, that's right.
It's come to me now.
Yeah. Sandra Bullock, come to me.
It's hell. Oh my God. V for Vendetta. We could be here all night talking about movies. It's 11:15 already.
Ooh.
You know, we're going to have to wrap this up. Maybe we're going to have to do a part 2. We could think of like 10 films and do another one in a month or 2.
Okay. Yeah.
You up for that?
Yeah, I'm up for that.
I just like talking about films.
Yeah.
Good films. Like,
I just think it's normally me sat here racking my brains trying to think up, you know what I mean? The deep research over slides. It's taxing. It's
a
just
lot of
nice.
work,
yeah,
innit?
yeah, a lot of work. But it's nice to just come in and freestyle it for once.
Yeah. And as our story says, at least it's not us looking up gay porn on X this week.
yeah, well put. Well
Mhm.
put, Larry. Larry's coming in. Our story's coming in next week.
There are,
Not coming in. He's coming on Zoom next week.
there are much better places to look up gay porn than X.
there?
I don't know. I just thought I'd
Hey.
say it.
Hey.
Just go to that
But
X.
if anyone's got any recommendations for gay porn, please keep it to yourself.
No, Sam, no part 2. We're going through. Is there a part 2? It's 11:15.
Yeah.
It's home time. Got dentist in the morning.
2 hours and 30 minutes of high quality content.
Is that? Yeah, we were a bit late starting, weren't we?
You got a couple of songs, a few impressions,
Mhm.
some bad jokes.
Mm.
We decoded the Highlander for you. What's your problem?
Yeah. I think they've had enough, haven't they? I think you've had enough.
So maybe what you could do is if you joined the Element server.
A good shout, yeah. I think Marissa's beat you to the point. That Marissa on YouTube saying maybe we can crowdsource a list of film suggestions.
Well, if you join the Element server, you could just post them in the Element, and I would try and collate them if I
Yeah.
remember.
Or email us at thearmisinquisition@gmail.com.
Yeah, do that. That'd be great.
Come up with 10 films.
If you could send those to me beforehand, that'd be great.
And then you have to watch all 10.
No.
Correct, yeah. Number 1, Double Down
I
by
would like to
Neil Breen.
I've got a message for everybody out there, right? This happened to me yesterday. Somebody said to me, have you ever seen Tim Burton's first Batman film in black and white? And then I saw it in my head and I instantly went and watched it. Go and do that. Go and watch the original Tim Burton Batman film in black and white. It's effing fantastic.
I thought it already was in black and white.
No, it's not, Phil.
How did you watch it in black and white? Can you do that on your telly?
Yeah, just turn down the colour.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes, it is.
I didn't know
No,
that.
he's got a black and white TV.
Well, I just assumed someone might have made a copy of it.
Oh,
Just turn. Literally,
maybe.
it's already perfect for you. Just turn down the saturation, and it's a better film. It's like
Right.
noirish, gorgeous lighting, lots of negative space and little bits of light. You'd be surprised.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good. Jack Nicholson just looks terrifying in it now, and it all looks like some noir 1930s, 40s film. Really effing cool.
And Kim,
Kim Basinger. Not a big fan of Kim Basinger.
but she has that look.
Yes.
That 1940s
Yeah.
noir Dick Tracy kind of look to her,
definitely.
doesn't she?
Yeah. Like
No.
strong angles, blonde.
Strong featured.
What, Jack Palance, is that his name? Who's also in it? He looks great.
Oh, is he the henchman?
He's the
Bob.
no.
Who's Bob?
He's the Jack Palance is like the I think he might even be Falcone. He's the guy above the Joker, basically the mob
Right.
boss that the Joker needs to kill. To
Jack
take
Palance.
over.
He's from the Shit Kickers, from the cowboy films.
Yeah.
Jack Palance. I know. I can picture him now.
Yeah.
He's from. He was in City Slickers
Yes, he was.
with Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he
Yeah.
dies in it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He
I'm
just
sure
he
does,
just
yeah.
sat there like he thinks he's looking at him and he just dies. I think.
Funny how because we started talking about the theatre, comedies and tragedies.
Yeah.
All the films we've talked about are neither. I would say they're all in the middle ground. They all have comic elements, tragic
Tragedy, yeah.
elements, but they're not. They're more universal.
Yes, I think we've been following that ring of the hero's journey,
Yeah.
and that naturally the bottom is tragedy, at the top is comedy. You know what I mean, or at least victory.
We have comic moments and tragic moments, but they're not. They add to the story. They don't drive it.
I think as well that comedy and tragedy symbol those to
The masks.
the personas. That's what when we say persona, taking it back to the beginning with the actors
Yeah.
putting on these masks of persona. Persona is the word for a mask. That's what those are called, the personas. And you've got something of a continuation for the masses of the yin and yang polarity themes there. Though that glyph that you'll see of the comedy and tragedy masks, the bits of ribbons coming off them, that's a yin yang symbol.
Of course it is. Yeah. And they actually wore masks in Greece.
Yep.
They wore masks. I can't believe we've not done the mask. Well, that's my
that
suggestion
your-
for next time.
Contribution.
The mask. We all wear masks.
Right.
Don't you know? Right. Let's sign off. It's late. Sun's getting low.
Mm.
Thanks for coming, Ryan.
I think that is off in sign language. If it's not, I've just made it up. Sign off. I took you literally. It's a dad joke.
It looks right to me.
fine.
I mean, I
I'm
don't
sure it's
know
fine.
any.
There's another one.
Wow.
Victory.
D for victory, yeah.
Those aren't purple fingers, are they, Ryan?
You smell purple.
Oh, God. Filthy boy. You've been at that. You've been at
Greetings and
those.
salutations, leaning in Huxley. I salute you.
You've been at those snail shells, you.
Oh yeah, the old purple.
Yeah, royal purple. Syrian purple.
Oh,
Right.
I'm slutty.
Thanks for
Wait a
joining
minute,
us.
David Lynch died. Fuck that off.
Really?
David Lynch died
Right.
When?
This
last week.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh, missed that
Master
one.
of Surrealism. That's enough.
Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks, that's it.
Both peaks.
You managed to mute that and put the fader up nice.
Yeah.
I've not seen any David Lynch stuff, I don't think.
The original Dune.
No.
You've not seen it?
I'm reading them at the minute. I'm on the
Oh,
third
good.
book.
Yeah, good.
Did that do the
that
Elephant
Emperor?
Man?
Sorry?
The Elephant Man.
He did, yeah.
You've probably seen that one. You will.
Bye, Dave.
Right. See you next week. Thanks for joining us. Our story will be joining us next week. Larry.
Good.
Zodiac. More Zodiac stuff. Zodiac's in the landscape.
Read that book
All right,
now.
guy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's join us. We're going now. Bye. Definitely this time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
I used to sniff my mum's knickers.
Shoot me in the bum.
It was fucking.
Like one of your French guys.
Someone shot me in the bum.
Won't you take your eye?
A sussy Chungus pirate from Basildon.
I never sucked any ding-dongs.
I think you're hitting the point, Phil, that and it really bothers me because I believe I have an issue in this respect.
Wagwan fam, you're going to Somerset.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Give me a eunuch